Welcome to the Orange and Blue Student Sports Network's coverage of Florida Gator football. Brought to you by the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communication. Now, let's take you live to the press box in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It's Florida Gator football on the Orange and Blue Student Sports Network.
Welcome to a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. This is the Florida Gators against the Vanderbilt Commodores in SEC football. On behalf of the Orange and Blue Student Broadcast Network, I'm Gabe Vargas, alongside me, Matt Rothmann. And today, Matt, what are we expecting out of this beautiful day for football?
Yeah, and this is the Gators' 99th homecoming game. They are 70, 26-2 in these games. And surely you expect a lot to happen in this game for the Gators. They're back home after a very tough week against Kentucky. And the Gators, all they really want out of this is a win and a performance that could really uplift the fans that have some doubts after last week and even the past couple weeks.
Right, and I mean, you know, they started off the season a little rough. There was a lot of mistakes in that Utah game. It seems like they bounced back in McNeese, and then in that dominant win over Tennessee, it looked like as if they had ironed out all of the wrinkles in the program. Then Charlotte came along. 5 field goals later, only a 22-7 victory, and then the abysmal loss to Kentucky, 33-14 in Kentucky, where Austin Armstrong's defense just got walked on by Ray Davis.
Yeah, and it didn't really help that the offense couldn't really get into the rhythm that game. They started it with the 3-and-out, then they threw an interception, and by that time, Kentucky had basically just taken a 16-0 lead at that time. So it'll be crucial, as we're saying this again, that the Gators are really prepared for this game. They weren't prepared against Utah for the first game. They weren't prepared against Kentucky. So they got to be prepared for this game, as we're saying it. And the offense has to get started quickly. And with this offense, a lot of guys that are starting in previous games, they're not available for today.
Yes, we almost have in the double digits for people who are out. Our star, Trevor Etienne's out with a lower body. Wide receiver Caleb Douglas is out with a lower body. Tight end, or starting tight ends, Jonathan Odom and Dante Zanders, are both out with lower body injuries. Offensive tackle Austin Barber, the one who holds up the offensive line for the Florida offense, also out today. The offense is just injury-ridden. So what do you think that they were doing to prepare for this game?
Yeah, and you've seen Billy Napier. He does have confidence in his backup players like Lendo Hudson the second, he'll get the start at left tackle. And Jake Slaughter, who will come in for Aguakin, who's still nursing an ankle injury that he had over the summer. Slaughter will come in for Aguakin at center. So Napier does have confidence that these guys will perform. We still got to see it, and it should be a good game for them to prove that.
Well, right, and I think this is an opportunity for a lot of the blood that doesn't get to play, some young guys, that they're going to be able to step up here for the Florida Gators. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity to see a lot of fresh faces here today and come in for a lot of those really important starters and a lot of the backbone of this Florida Gators offense.
Yeah, and for some of the freshmen, Andy Jean, who didn't play a whole lot the first couple games. He had some really key plays against Kentucky, 4 receptions, 33 yards. Khalil Jackson, who does get the start today over the injured Caleb Douglas, he had 3 receptions, 41 yards, second for the Gators last week for receiving yards. And with Trevor Etienne out, we could possibly see Trayon Webb, the freshman, get a lot more reps in this game. And for a player on the other side of the ball that is starting for the Gators, Bryce Thornton, the 3-star out of College Park, Georgia, he does get his first start at safety, so we'll see how he fares in this game.
Right, there'll be a lot of opportunity for these young players to show off some of their talents, especially on the offensive side of the ball with the Vanderbilt defense. They have this season been struggling to stop the offensive advances of their opponents. They're ranked 13th overall in the SEC for defense. And I think this will be a great game for a lot of those young guys on the offensive side of the ball to show what they have, to put their marks on the table and show Coach Napier that they want to play.
Yeah, and it'll be very important, especially with Vanderbilt, who gave up over 500 yards in their last game against Missouri, how they'll fare, how Florida will fare on that offensive side, because they got to get the tempo up really quickly. Now for Vanderbilt's side on offense, we have a quarterback, Ken Seals, who did start last week against Missouri, but didn't play last season, and he made his first start last week in over 2 years. So how do you think he'll fare with how Vanderbilt's offense has been very pass-heavy so far this season?
I think they're going to continue to be pass-heavy because that's what works. Florida's defense for most of the season has been really effective in stopping the run, for the exception of last week against Kentucky. They were caught with almost 400 total yards against him. Prior to that, they only averaged 244.8 total yards. They were 5th overall in the country for total yards allowed on defense. So I think Vanderbilt, their game plan is going to be air out the ball, get it to some of their wide receivers who have some absolutely crazy stats. As we see the Florida Gators coming on the field, led by Coach Napier, getting brought on by the marching band and the crowd giving them a wild and enthusiastic round of applause.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the wide receivers for Vanderbilt, Will Shepard, so far this season has been one of their big wide receivers, averaging around 74 yards per game and 7 touchdowns. So he's been a really big part of that Vanderbilt offense so far.
With that Vanderbilt offense, too, you got London Humphreys, another valuable asset on that team. There's a receiving core. There's 3 solid receivers on the depth chart for the Commodores here. And it's Jaden McGowan. He's another one, 5'8", 181-pound sophomore. He's got a touchdown this year. He's another unit that they absolutely utilize on the offense here.
And so for the Gators, knowing that they're really pass-heavy and how well they've done, how do you think Austin Armstrong can really key in to that without possibly taking away from the rushing game, which even though those running backs for Vanderbilt don't average a whole lot, Patrick Smith and Cedric Alexander, they still average over 4 yards per carry. So
right,
they could still run the ball.
Right. I mean, I think on the offensive side, too, that's going to be something where the coaches on the Vanderbilt coaching staff are going to, that's what Armstrong's expecting. He's expecting a pass-heavy game, and so I think they're going to try to throw in some run plays to catch the Florida Gators offense off. So that means the safety's got to be wide open, got to have their eyes up. The corners and the defensive backs got to be, eyes up looking too, so they don't get caught with their pants down in the backfield.
Yeah, and so this is the Florida Gators versus Vanderbilt Commodores. We'll take a break, and we'll be back at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium for the kickoff. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM.
Hey, Russell Wilson here, and I know how important exercise is.
It's essential. It's essential.
With Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids stay active and play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids, healthy kids.
But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60, because great things happen when we live united.
Donate, donate.
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
There are some things you can only do once in a lifetime. Graduate high school, get your first job. And if you're a young man about to turn 18, there's one other thing, which is also the law: registering with Selective Service. It's fast, it's easy, and you only have to do it once your entire life. Just visit your post office or sss.gov on your computer or smartphone. Do it and keep yourself eligible for a lot of other once-in-a-lifetime experiences, like that first college loan or Pell Grant, or U.S. citizenship if you're an immigrant.
Hello, I'm John Lithgow. Manatees are unique, among the most amazing animals on Earth, but they're endangered. We pose the greatest threat to their survival. Many manatees are killed or injured by boats or other recreational activities. I'm a writer of children's books, including one about manatees, and I believe education is the key. You can be part of the solution. Please contact Save the Manatee Club right now. Call 1-800-432-JOIN. Thank you.
Are you saving for a big purchase or just trying to put money away for a rainy day? The National Foundation for Credit Counseling offers these tips to help you meet your savings goals. Set aside money from every paycheck, bank any raises, bonuses, or tax refunds, and put away loose change every night. It adds up. For more tips on how to save money and reach your financial goals, call a certified NFCC counselor at 1-800-388-2227 or visit nfcc.org, a public service from the
And welcome back to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Just ready to get the kickoff started with the Florida Gators hosting the Vanderbilt Commodores. I'm Matthew Rothmann. Alongside me, Gabe Vargas. And Florida, they won the toss, and Vanderbilt will receive the ball. Florida will defend the north end zone.
It is 4 p.m. on the dot. It is a good 85 degrees, a little bit of a breeze going on, a little bit of cloud cover as the sun decided to peak and hide away as the lower bowl here in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium is starting to fill up. Fans are getting in. The Florida sky is getting lined up. And we're about to see a great game of football between the Florida Gators and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Here we go.
And the sun gets ready to shine as Trace Mack kicks it off. And it is a touchback as the ball goes out of the end zone. So Vanderbilt, as we mentioned in the preview, will start senior Ken Seals. Started last week against Missouri in their 38-21 loss. Had a pretty decent game, went 20 of 31, 64.5% completion percentage, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And so he'll lead this Commodores offense today at the Swamp as the Gators crowd starts to get into it before the first play. 2 receivers to each side of Seals. Receiver in motion, he hands the ball off, and he gets stopped at the 28-yard line.
Handed it off to Cedric Alexander there, 5'9", 199 freshman. Brick house of a running back, starting with the run game. Looks like it's going to be 2nd and 7 on the 28 for the Florida Gators, or for the Vanderbilt Commodores, excuse me.
Yep, first play of the drive for Vanderbilt. It'll be important for Vanderbilt, especially given their porous defense, to really get into the end zone early and keep the pressure on the Gators. They face a 2nd and 6 on the 29 on the right hash. In motion is Skinner Jr. Snap to Seals. He fires on a slant. He's got his receiver. It's number 14, Will Shepard, the senior, and he's all the way up to the 48.
Great slant route ran there by Will Shepard, the senior wide receiver there, the kind of the core of their the man of their receiving core. It's going to be a first down for the Vanderbilt Commodores on Florida Gators' 48-yard line.
On the left hash, still a 0-0 game with 13:47 left in the first quarter. Seals directing his offensive line. Cedric Alexander in the backfield. Seals in the shotgun, 3 receivers to his right side. Shepard in motion. And he goes on a screen. And he ran into Shepard, number 6. Jaden McGowan tried to create space there, but running into Shepard really hurt him.
A little bit of miscommunication there on the field. They got a little bunched up, and 3 Florida Gators defenders were right there to catch the chase.
A 2-yard pickup for McGowan up to midfield.
2nd and 8 on the 50.
Now Seals under center, 2 running backs in the backfield, Alexander and it looks like McGowan. McGowan goes in motion to the left. Seals under pressure, flips it out to Alexander, but he dropped it.
Alexander unable to handle that one. He had a little bit of open space there. If he would have been able to get his hands on the ball, he would have been able to take off down the field, maybe get some yards there. 3rd down and 8 on the 50-yard line still. Your score is still 0-0.
And it was Princely Umanmielen who has been a big part of this Gators pass rush this season, brought pressure to Seals there. And it's a big 3rd down for the Commodores, 3rd and 8 on the 50-yard line at the right hash. Seals under center, McGowan to his right, Shepard and Quincy Skinner Jr. to his left. Alexander to the backfield, he takes the snap, coming from the edge. It's batted down away from Shepard to the left side. It was Jaden Hill who got his hand in there for the incompletion.
Great coverage, great pass block there by Mr. Hill, and that's going to give a 4th and long for the Vanderbilt Commodores. They're going to have to kick it away to an ever-awaiting Ricky Pearsall, right just shallow of the 10-yard line.
And Vanderbilt, they got a first down on second down of their second play, but they'll punt after 3 straight plays that couldn't get them anywhere.
12-30.
Snap and the punt, Pearsall goes to his left, signals a fair catch, and the Gators will have to drive around 94 yards down the field for the touchdown as Pearsall catches it at the 6-yard line.
So it's going to be a long drive here for the Florida Gators. 12:32 on the clock in the first quarter. Your score still 0-0. Looks like the Gators are getting in the offensive huddle as the Vanderbilt defense gets on the field. The entire stadium is chomping as the marching Gators are giving them a loud and proud little hurrah.
And Graham Mertz, who went 25 for 30 in their last game, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Had a solid game, but his interception really hurt the Gators that first drive. As the first play is dropped by Montrell Johnson, it was incomplete, signaled by the far referee.
Quick little screen pass there, very similar to the Vanderbilt play in the last drive. Just unable to catch that ball, unable to come away with that one. Had a little bit of butterfingers there. Going to be 2nd down and 10 on the 7.
And so the Gators already shorthanded in the running back room with Trevor Etienne out with an undisclosed injury. So Johnson will be getting a heavier load today with Trayon Webb, the freshman, also being a key part as Graham Mertz goes out of the pocket and delivers a pass to Pearsall to the far sideline. Goes up to the 28-yard line for a Gators first down. Pickup of 21.
The crowd is electric here. The marching band is blaring. The crowd screaming, "Go Gators." It's time for the offense to wake up here.
1st and 10 from 25. 3 receivers to his left, and it's now passed out to Khalil Jackson, who will go to the 29. It's a pickup of 4. So Jackson had 3 receptions, 41 yards last week. Was second in the Gators in receiving yards.
With that injury-ridden wide receiver core, he's going to be getting, like you said, a lot more of a workload. Same thing with Montrell Johnson. A lot of these guys are going to get way more work here tonight.
Handoff goes to Johnson. He can't get anywhere. Maybe picks up a yard, but will be a 3rd down and medium for the Gators at their own 30.
At the 30-yard line, going to be 3rd and 5 with 11:23 on the clock and counting. 0-0 still the score.
It'll be a big 3rd down for the Gators as they have to try to really put in the score early. Only went 4 for 13 on 3rd downs last week against Kentucky. So they'll have to improve with 2 receivers to Mertz's right, Eugene Wilson, who went in motion to his left. And the ball is fired out to Pearsall to the right. He picks up the first down at the 39-yard line, a pickup of 9 on 3rd and 5.
On these past few plays, it seems that Pearsall takes a quick bank route out to the right, and they're unable to cover that. It's almost like they take a little bit, they've been taken a little bit by a surprise there by Ricky Pearsall.
The Gators going quickly as the handoff goes to Johnson, breaks outside, trying to shovel his way to the 48-yard line, pickup of 9.
It's going to be 2nd and 1 here for the Florida Gators. Montrell Johnson went chugging along away through that hole and was able to pick up some yards for the Florida Gators.
As you said, Khalil Jackson being in for the Gators today gets the start over Caleb Douglas, who injured his leg last week against Kentucky. And so 2 receivers to Mertz's left, Eugene Wilson on the far side. Snap to Mertz. He fires to nobody on that left side. Tried to find Montrell Johnson, but he was in the middle. That brings up a 3rd and 2 at the 47-yard line. with just under 10 minutes left in this first quarter. The Gators' first drive of this game, Vanderbilt had to punt the ball, and so the Gators on the first drive hope to capitalize. Johnson in the backfield. Pearsall goes in motion to the left. It's handed off, and going to the left side is Johnson. Goes towards the sideline, breaks 2 tackles, down to the red zone. A pickup of 33 for Montrell Johnson.
Montrell Johnson let the Vanderbilt Commodores defense know that he wasn't messing around. He gave a big old stiff arm to number 25 Martell Height of the Vanderbilt Commodores defense, Johnson ain't here to mess around. He is showing the Commodores defense who is boss.
And it was a big pickup for Johnson, who had 42 yards last week on 10 carries, but it was a struggle for the Gators rushing attack as a flag goes to the far sideline, and the passes to Boardington over the middle was a bit behind him.
Going to be a flag on the play here.
The flag came from the far sideline, and it was an offsides on the defense, so the Gators will move 5 yards down to the 14. It'll be a 1st and 5.
0-0, 9:10 left on the clock. The Commodores gave them a little bit of leeway here. They got a little bit of room to move around here. The Gators this season have been struggling to capitalize in the end zone. This is their time to shine and get some points up on the board.
Yes. Already the 10th play of the drive for the Gators. Snap to Mertz. And behind is Pearsall. He has nothing but green space. It's a touchdown. Ricky Pearsall, 14 yards to the house.
A nice little crisscross route, little handoff. Pearsall was the final destination, and he was able to run a wide route to the left and get it into the orange end zone for the Florida Gators. Set 6-0 your score, 9:05 left on the clock. The Gators up on top, and this crowd is just electric.
And that caps off a 9-play, 93-yard drive for the Gators. A 14-yard score on, then end around for Pearsall, who went to his left. Trace Mack on for the extra point. Had 5 field goals against Charlotte 2 weeks ago, and he nails that through the uprights. 7-0 Gators. 9 plays and 93 yards capped off by Ricky Pearsall for the Gators. We'll take a break. We'll be back for coverage of Vanderbilt's next drive. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM.
Welcome back to Science Today. And we already have our next caller. Welcome. Who's this?
Hi, I'm Philip.
Hello, Philip. You sound really young.
Not really. I'm 9.
Oh, wow. You're still in elementary school, right?
Does that matter?
Oh, no, not at all. What's your question?
Well, I know the molecular formula for water is H2O. I also know that hydrocarbon is CH3CH2 50CH3. Glucose is C6H12O6. The general formula for an alkene is CnH2n plus 2. But what I can't seem to find is any scientific formula for Bob.
Bob?
My goldfish.
Are you ready for kids who eat healthy? Good nutrition can lead to great things. To find out how a healthy lifestyle can help your child succeed, go to mypyramid.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and USDA.
At the American Lung Association, we're fighting for a day when we can all breathe easier. We're fighting for clear skies over every city and healthy lungs throughout the country. We're fighting to free millions of Americans from the addictive grip of tobacco and the devastating effects of lung disease. The American Lung Association isn't just fighting for air, we're fighting for all the things that make it worth breathing, and we can use your help. See what you can do at fightingforair.org.
From the vantage point, Mafatu saw 6 war canoes drawn up on the beach. But what held the boy's eyes in awful trance were the figures, the eaters of men, cannibals. Mafatu watched the strange scene, powerless to move. In that very instant, he heard a crashing in the undergrowth. 4 figures were tearing through the jungle. He turned and ran blindly down the trail, thinking only of his canoe. If only he could reach it before the savages overtook him. Explore new worlds. Find out what happens next by reading the book Call It Courage by Armstrong Sperry. For other great book ideas, visit literacy.gov. A message from the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Gaining weight was easy. Losing it's a lot harder. I have to work at it every day. But with every step, I lower my risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And that makes it
Morning, Daddy!
very much worth the effort.
Learn how you can help stop diabetes by losing weight, eating healthy, and staying active. Visit checkupamerica.org or call 1-800-DIABETES. A message from the American Diabetes Association.
Welcome back to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. The Florida Gators just scored a 14-yard touchdown by Ricky Pearsall on an end around to put Florida up 7-0. As we were in the break, some rain fell down from the sky, so some interesting weather updates, as it's another reason why you can't fully trust the weather app, I guess. But now the Gators are ready to kick off to the north end zone. Trace Mack, as the ball fell down from the tee.
You know, you can never predict the weather here in Rainsville, Florida. You know, one moment it's sunny. It was sunny right at kickoff, and then we had a little bit of a torrential downpour. It looks like it's clearing up a little bit as Smack goes to take a few steps to run and go kick off the ball to the Commodores.
And Smack kicks it off a bit short, but it's a fair catch called by 2 Commodores. It was made by McGowan. And Vanderbilt will take over at the 25-yard line. So the Gators scoring the first drive, 9 plays, 93 yards. Took 3 minutes, 27 seconds. It's a much bigger improvement from what they had last week against Kentucky.
Right, we're seeing a lot of tempo. We're seeing a lot of movement around. You know, Pearsall's banking out to the right, banking out to the sides, and giving some options for Graham Mertz. This offense looks alive and ready to go. Let's see if they can keep it up here as we progress throughout the game.
Pearsall had 2 receptions, 27 yards, 14 yards for that touchdown, 41 total yards on that first drive. As Vanderbilt takes over at the 6, probably because one of the guys who caught the ball didn't signal a fair catch. So Vanderbilt's at the 7-yard line. Seals takes a snap, puts it out, and immediately tackled is made by Jaden Hill on number 3, Quincy Skinner Jr. It's a loss of 2, and that brings up a 2nd and 12 for Vanderbilt.
You know, the Gators defense saw that screen going out to Skinner, and they were all on top of it. Defenders were there by the time the pass was made. Great stop and great heads-up play by the Florida Gators defense.
Seals in the shotgun, 2 receivers to the right side, 1 to the left. In motion goes Moss, and handed off to Alexander, who fumbles the ball. Let's see who picked it up. And Vanderbilt recovered the ball. It'll be a 3rd down at the 12-yard line.
Really close call there for the Vanderbilt Commodores. If they would have lost possession of that, that would have given the Gators a ball deep into their territory, which would have been another perfect scoring opportunity for the Florida Gators.
It looked like Tyreek Sapp who got a hand on it. And now Seals in the shotgun with Patrick Smith in the backfield. McGowan goes in motion to the right side. Gators bringing pressure up the middle, and he has to throw it away. Scooby Williams into the backfield for the Gators to put pressure on Seals, causing that throwaway, and Vanderbilt once again on their 2nd drive will punt the ball away.
Scooby has been one heck of a player for this Florida defensive squad here. He is someone that really holds up that defensive backfield, and as in that last play, he just put a ton of pressure on Ken Seals to give away the ball. Now the Commodores are turning the ball over back to the Florida Gators.
And now Pueblo will punt it. Pearsall at the 38 will take it, goes up the middle, breaks a tackle, jukes to the left side, and goes down to the 42. 7:15 left for the Gators. Up 7-0 here at the Swamp. We'll be back. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM. Gators up 7-0. We'll be back for the Gators' second drive of the game.
Let's go with your children. We say the Pledge of Allegiance together. I'm one out of every 4 children in America, and I'm struggling with hunger. I'm lucky to grow up where I could be whatever I want. I want to grow up and be someone who doesn't go to bed hungry. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for kids like me. Together, we're Feeding America. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
In the news, a small boy was rescued from abuse today by a magic trick. Witnesses say a bully had the boy pinned down.
Scott was hitting Timmy pretty hard.
And I said somebody should do something.
Moments later, a street magician arrived on the scene. Police reports state he covered the bully with his coat. What happened next is still under investigation.
The bully turned into a bunch of kittens.
The victim left the scene unharmed.
Boy, you never see that happen.
That's because it doesn't. If you see abuse or neglect, learn what you can do from American Humane at BeHumane.org.
I'm Sally, a volunteer at United Way. I'm asking people around the neighborhood what they think this place needs. Excuse me, hi. What do you think this place needs?
I'd like to see more parking.
More playgrounds.
Free movies.
Oh, that's easy. Better restaurants.
And you, what do you think this place needs?
This place? Oh, more ice cream trucks.
Okay. How about you?
Wi-Fi everywhere?
I was thinking more money in the pockets of local families come tax time.
Can I change my answer?
I was just kidding about the ice cream.
Oh, that's way better.
Now that you mention it.
When it comes to getting better tax refunds into the hands of local families, what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org. Because great things happen when we live united. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Swamp. The Florida Gators up 7-0 over the Vanderbilt Commodores. 7:15 left. The Gators scored the first touchdown of the game on their first drive. 9 plays, 93 yards, capped off by Ricky Pearsall, 14-yard rushing touchdown. Vanderbilt punted on their second drive, and now the Gators have it at the Vanderbilt 43 after Ricky Pearsall returned the punt for 18 yards. So with 7:15 left in the first quarter, Graham Mertz in the backfield with running back Montrell Johnson, and a screen. Oh, it's a pass. Oh, Montrell Johnson gets open, but it's intercepted. An underthrow by Khalil Jackson. Seemed like a great play by the Gators, but the underthrow really hurt them there. Johnson had a lot of space, but the first play of their second drive, the Gators turned the ball over, and Vanderbilt will get the ball back with 7:07 left.
You know, and as much as that ended poorly, the execution wasn't super great, I appreciate some of that more creative play calling coming out of Billy Napier. I mean, that's been the criticism of the Florida Gators offense, is that there hasn't been a ton of creativity this season. They've been kind of a predictable offense. You know, if Grandma at home's being able to predict what's happening on the offense side of the ball, there seems to be problems going on. So I'd like to see more of those types of play calls coming from Napier, but the execution was just not there, and, you know, sometimes that happens.
Yeah, of course, a lot of talk over the past couple weeks when it's come to Billy Napier over play calling, whether or not an offensive coordinator might be needed, but those talks will surely persist after this season as Seals goes up the middle, tries to bounce out to the right side. Scooby Williams makes the tackle at the 14-yard line to pick up of 3 by the senior quarterback.
Yeah, again, Scooby Williams, an essential player on that defensive unit. He's leading the Gators in a whole bunch of stats across the stat board, and he's someone that the Gators really heavily rely on their defensive squad.
2nd and 7 at the 14. Seals on the right hash. 6:30 to go in the first quarter. Gators up 7-0. And tries to throw it out to the far sideline. Caught by Shepard. He stays in bounds, goes up the middle. A busted coverage for the Gators, and Shepard will take it to the house. 85 yards for the senior.
You know, on that defensive side, Jason Marshall Jr. blown coverage. That was just lazy football. I mean, he thought that he was going out there, and that was just lazy football on behalf of the Florida defensive side. It gave number 14 for the Commodores, Will Shepard. He had all the room in the world. Looked like he was going out. He was able to keep it in, and that was just lazy football by the Florida defensive squad.
And no safeties over the top there for the Gators, so Marshall had to keep Shepard in coverage there. Once he blew past him, didn't have any chance, as the kick for Vanderbilt is good.
7-7 your score. Vanderbilt and Gators tied with 6:15 left in the first quarter.
And so this is what we've been saying for the Gators. Last week wasn't great defensively for the Gators. We've seen a lot of preparation issues, especially on defense, as to Florida giving up a few touchdowns in the first couple of drives. No different today, as they give up an 85-yard touchdown from Ken Seals to Will Shepard for the first touchdown for Vanderbilt in the game when it felt like they weren't going anywhere. The first two drives ended in punts, and now this one, a long touchdown.
And that was just poor coverage by the defensive squad. I mean, that was textbook lazy football. You know, Shepard made that catch, and it looked like as if he was going out, but he still had a lot of room to go. He ended up banking back in and taking 85 yards to the house. It looked like as if Marshall just sat and stood there and just was going to watch him go out of bounds. That's the things that cannot be happening on the Florida defensive side of the ball.
And so Vanderbilt will kick towards the south end zone for the Gators. Receiving it is, looks like Jason Marshall at the back end zone. He takes it out, tries to go up the middle, and he'll be tackled at the 23-yard line. Got 23 yards out of that kickoff return, and the Gators will hope for this drive to turn into better success. Had the turnover the last drive, you could understand the play call was very creative, but didn't end well for them.
You know, and like I said, I'm really hoping we see more of these creative play calls out of Napier. I'm hoping that he takes away the conservative side of football, and he's really going to be shoddy and punchy today, especially against this Vanderbilt Commodores defense.
Treyon Webb now in the backfield for the Gators. Graham Mertz in the shotgun, with two receivers to his right. Pearsall and Wilson. One to his left, it's Khalil Jackson. When motions a pop to Wilson, takes it, cuts inside, will go up to the 32-yard line. Picked up 9 yards for a second and short.
Nice route there by Eugene Wilson III. 5'10", 170-pound freshman. Again, some of that young blood getting some playing time here for the Florida Gators offense, as this injury-ridden offense has some of their star players out.
Now 2nd and 1, 5:33 left in the first, tied at 7. It pops it to Khalil Jackson, who will take it up to the 40 for the first down. It's a second catch of the game for Jackson. That one goes for 8 yards.
Score 7-7, 5:17 left on the clock. 1st and 10 on the Gators 40. The marching band getting behind the Gators, the fans getting behind the Gators, hoping that something explosive comes out of this drive here.
Mertz calling for the snap, gets it. And now go out far to Wilson on the right side. He'll go out of bounds up to the 48. A pickup of 8 for the freshman.
Wilson was wide open there, and that seems to be a little bit of a lapse there on the Vanderbilt defense. You know, the Gators have been able to pass that ball off to the right side, and it seems to be that nobody has been there. Passing off and thrown off to the right side, whether it be Pearsall or Wilson, has been proving a little bit effective here for the Florida Gators.
Yeah, coming into this game, Vanderbilt 13th in the conference in total defense. 119th in the country, so they've had their struggles. Mertz under pressure, tries to get out, but is taken down for a loss of 2. Vanderbilt defense getting to the Florida quarterback, and this is the Florida offensive line coming into this game that we knew without both Barber and Agwalkin would have their troubles today.
Yeah, it's time for some of those new guys on the offensive line to step off. Lindell Hudson, the senior, it looks like he's going to have to step up here for the Florida Gators and come away with something.
And 3rd and 4 for the Gators at the their own 46. Vanderbilt showing pressure, 3 to the left. Coming off the edge, and Johnson able to corral that, has to make up a lot of space, but he gets dragged down by a swarm of Commodores. And the Gators will probably have to punt here as they're unable to pick up the first down.
See what they do here. It looks like the kicking squad is coming on. Not the drive that Gators fans were wanting to see. Great stop by the Vanderbilt Commodores defense there. And it looks like in the backfield on the return is going to be Will Shepard, their dynamic wide receiver here, that's leading the team with touchdowns, with a whopping 7 touchdowns for the Commodores this season. Now 8.
Yeah, now 8. That was
now 8.
His big one. Crawshaw punts it. Shepard moves up to, and it's behind him. It will go for a touchback. A very smart play there by Will Shepard. Going up to fool the Gators defenders there, and the ball is in the end zone for a touchback. The Gators failed to capitalize on a first down after the Vanderbilt touchdown. We'll be back in the Swamp. 7-7 game, 2:44 left in the first quarter. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ.
Sound of someone correctly installing a car seat. And this is the sound of someone incorrectly installing a car seat. Correctly, incorrectly. Hear the difference? No? That's because installing a car seat incorrectly is terribly easy. So much so, 75% of adults install them wrong. For simple instructions on how to get it right, visit buckleupforlife.org. Ah, perfectly executed. Brought to you by Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center.
My name is Ruth Rusi, and this is how I live United. I read to children as part of United Way's education program. It helps them create links between language and literacy and prepares them for a better academic future. I figure I have the time and they have the need. My name is Ruth Rusi. I help kids prepare to succeed in school, so I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Hey, Russell Wilson here, and I know how important exercise is.
It's essential. It's essential.
With Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids stay active and play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids, healthy kids.
But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60 because great things happen when we live united.
Donate, donate.
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Are you saving for a big purchase or just trying to put money away for a rainy day? The National Foundation for Credit Counseling offers these tips to help you meet your savings goals. Set aside money from every paycheck, bank any raises, bonuses, or tax refunds, and put away loose change every night. It adds up. For more tips on how to save money and reach your financial goals, call a certified NFCC counselor at 1-800-388-2227 or visit nfcc.org, a public service from the National Foundation for Credit Counseling.
Welcome back to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. 2:44 left in the first quarter. The Gators and the Vanderbilt Commodores tied at 7. And so the Commodores, on their third drive of the game after the interception, on their second play, had an 85-yard touchdown from Ken Seals to Will Shepard. Shepard's eighth touchdown of the season. And now the Gators tried to do something on that last drive, didn't come to fruition. They got a first down, but now had to punt, unable to get into Vanderbilt territory. And after the touchback by Crawshaw, the Commodores will have the ball at their own 20-yard line.
Gators need to watch the outside as Will Shepard is off to the left side.
Now Shepard is in the slot for the Commodores. Smith in the backfield. Seals in the shotgun on the right hash. The Gators crowd starts to come up, and it's handed off to Smith. Umami Ellen was in there for the tackle alongside Cam Jackson. It's a 3-yard pickup for Vanderbilt.
Great stop by the Florida Gators defense. Again, they need to wake up. There needs to be a lack of sloppy football, and there needs to be tackles made. Again, it sounds like a simple formula, but that's what the Gators need to do, and that's what they've been struggling with.
The 2nd and 7 at the 23 for Vanderbilt, their own 23. 2 receivers to the left. And Marshall tries to undercut it, almost intercepted it. So Marshall, who was in coverage with Shepard on the touchdown play, almost got the interception there after a great undercut on that left side. And it brings up a 3rd and long for the Commodores.
Yeah, Marshall's waking up. He's redeeming himself here. You know, after that lazy coverage there, that was tight man-to-man coverage, and he was able to cover that and break that pass off very effectively.
3rd and 7, 1:58 left in the first quarter, tied at 7. Shepard in the slot. And we'll see if the Gators bring pressure. They back off. Seals under pressure by Umami Ellen. Gets to his left, throws over the middle. It is dropped. Great coverage there by number 14 of the Gators, Jordan Castell.
Looks like there's going to be a flag on the play. We're going to see where that goes. Great coverage there by Florida Gators defense. But you got to give it up for the O-line for Vanderbilt.
And a roughing the passer penalty on 3rd down cost the Gators a chance to get the ball back, and the Commodores will get an automatic 1st down out of it. Caleb Banks, the player penalized for the personal foul.
A catastrophic error by the Florida Gators defense. Again, these are the things that can't be happening. This is now keeping Vanderbilt's drive alive, what it should have been a punt away for the Florida Gators.
And speaking of penalties, the Gators had 10 of those last week against Kentucky. One of them was on a 4th down, a personal foul on what would have been a punt. And the next play, Ray Davis takes it in for 75 yards for Kentucky. So we've seen it cost the Gators. Last week it cost them against Utah. And now you hope it doesn't cost them here, as the receiver goes in motion. It's handed off to Cedric Alexander, and the Gators able to stop him. It was R.J. Moten, the safety, who got to Alexander. Only a half a yard gain out of that.
You know, and to your point, right, it's those silly errors that end up being detrimental for the Florida Gators defense. Again, we really hope that they'll clean this up to make sure and ensure that that this doesn't cost them costly things in errors for the rest of the game.
Now a 5 wideout set for Vanderbilt, who always loves to pass the ball. 1:10 left. Play clock winding down. Seals in the shotgun, has to get it off quickly. He can't do it, but he just does. And he scans the field. The Gators trying to get to him, and it's to the sideline. Shepard was in the area, and it's incomplete.
Again, giving it up for the Vanderbilt offensive line. They're giving Seals all the time in the world he needs. He was just unable to find an open receiver to make a completed pass.
Williams got in the backfield for the Gators. One of the big parts of their defense so far this season. And it will be another 3rd down, 3rd and 9 at Vanderbilt's 39. Now Alexander's in the backfield for Vanderbilt. Seals directing his offensive line. Play clock winding down again. Receiver goes in motion. The play clock once again ran down. They snap it in a great pass to the outside, finding Skinner Jr. for the 1st down.
And that's going to move the chains forward and keep this drive alive. Again, that costly error of roughing the passer is starting to bite the Gators in the butt a little bit here.
A big pickup for Vanderbilt, and he throws it to the sideline, to the right sideline. Unfortunately, no one there It's Williams in coverage.
So far, Ken Seals is 5 for 11 passing rate, 113 total yards and a touchdown, 45% completion rate, 7-7 your scores. About 30 seconds left on the clock in this first quarter. 2nd and 10 on the Gators 48 as the Vanderbilt Commodores go and spread out in formation. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left of Seals.
And Seals once again directing his offensive line, Alexander, in the backfield for the Commodores. Motions McGowan. He hands it off to Alexander. He goes down to the 49. Not enough for the first. He actually goes down to the 44. My mistake, but not enough for the first down, but brings up another 3rd down for the Gators today. And against Kentucky last week, that might have been one of their only bright spots on defense. They allowed only 1 for 8 as we go to the last of the first quarter, tied at 7. But that was one of the Gators' bright spots last week. They only allowed 1 for 8 on 3rd downs against Kentucky, as even if they didn't perform the way that they were supposed to.
Right. And I mean, looking at the Gators, kind of a first quarter recap here. I mean, the Gators were starting off hot. The offensive tempo was great. Napier made a little bit of an innovative play call, which, I agree with, and it just wasn't executed. And since then, it seems to be that the Gators have fallen flat.
Yeah, and we'll be back on the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network, 7-7 game here at the Swamp. Going to the 2nd quarter, we'll be back for more action.
Annoying. You're so annoying.
Stop copying me.
Stop copying me.
Mom, tell her to stop copying me.
Mom, tell her to stop talking to me.
Kids will spend 10 minutes copying everything their sibling says.
You're such a
You're
doofus.
such a doofus.
How about 2 minutes to brush their teeth? Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Mom!
A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
You are a healthy eater. Oranges for vitamin C, flaxseed and mackerel for omega-3s. But did you know the same foods that are good for your body, i.e. not beef jerky, are also good for your eyes? Yep, research shows proper nutrition can impact the development of cataracts and age-related macular degeneration, 2 leading causes of blindness. So keep up the healthy munching, my well-fed friend. And for more easy ways to keep keeping your eyes healthy, see your optometrist or visit AOA.org.
These are the sounds of someone taking their eyes off the road. Texting while driving is more than distracting. It's dangerous. Do Florida a favor. When you're on the road, stay off the phone. A message from CTIA, America's wireless companies, and the National Safety Council.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Sit right there. I gotta tell you something. I bet you know someone with type 2 diabetes. Guaranteed. You know why? Because 1 out of every 3 little kids is gonna develop diabetes in their lifetime. That can lead to heart problems, strokes, and even blindness. I'm John Sally, and I'm telling you, it ain't gotta be that way. Now, you can up your defenses by eating more fruits and vegetables, having more vegetarian and vegan meals. These steps can be the power plays to protect you and your family against the risk of diabetes. Learn more, go to blockdiabetes.org. I'm kidding.
Gaining weight was easy. Losing it's a lot harder. I have to work at it every day. But with every step, I lower my risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And that makes it
Morning, Daddy!
very much worth the effort.
Learn how you can help stop diabetes by losing weight, eating healthy, and staying active. Visit checkupamerica.org or call 1-800-DIABETES. A message from the American Diabetes Association.
Now back at the Swamp, just getting ready to start the 2nd quarter. It's the Vanderbilt Commodores against the Florida Gators, a 7-7 game. Vanderbilt currently driving at the Gators' 43-yard line. It was an interesting story in the first quarter. The Gators started out really well the first drive, but since then, been flat for them.
Right. You hope that the Gators pick up their rhythm and find a good stop here, have a pivotal play that'll give them a breath of fresh energy, as it seems like the energy has been zapped from them since that catastrophic play.
3rd and 5 from the Gators' 43. for Ken Seals and the Commodores. 2 receivers to each side. Pressure up the middle for the Gators. Uman Mielen got to him, and it forces an incompletion.
It's going to be in 4th and 5 for the Vanderbilt Commodores, and it looks like they're going to elect to stay on the field here.
I mean, you got to do it.
Right.
In enemy territory, a punt doesn't really do a whole lot, and you're only 5 yards away, so why not take that chance if you're Vanderbilt?
Right, the crowd's getting loud, getting behind the Florida Gators, trying to give them some energy here on this huge play here in the beginning of the second quarter.
3 receivers to Seals left as the Gators crowd starts to get into it. Play clock winding down. And he'll call a timeout with 14:55 left in the second quarter.
The noise in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium is just deafening, probably causing the Vanderbilt Commodores to get a timeout. This venue here, one of the loudest in the country, highest recorded ever noise at almost over 115 decibels. So that's near the threshold of pain. Teams prepare for the noise here in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. And, when the Gators get behind the defense here and get that loud wall of sound, it's really hard for any team to get any sort of play calling, any sort of anything off, any sort of snap count off, as, you can't really hear anything when you're on the crest of the eye of the Gator when you have 90,000 fans screaming at the top of their lungs.
Yeah, 14:55 in the second. Just started the second quarter. Still tied at 7, and Vanderbilt still will go for it, as that wasn't a too surprising decision. They did have their punter, Matthew Hayball out there, a graduate player, but they will go for it. 3 receivers to Seals left.
As the noise gets
deafening. The noise, as you said, the noise still getting loud. Play clock at 5. He takes the snap, and it's thrown out to Skinner, and he fumbled the ball. The Gators pick it up, and we'll see what the call is from the referees. No whistle was blown, and a signal Gators ball. It's a fumble.
As the crowd here at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium just erupts. That is the play that the Gators defense needed to be able to turn the tide in their favor. The ball's going to be given back to the Gators here. 7-7 your score, 14:44 left on the clock, and they're going to be in some decent field position here to start off their drive here in the second quarter.
Yeah, it was TJ Searcy, in fact, the edge rusher, who got to that side and forced the fumble for the Gators. The play is under review.
At first look, it didn't seem to be as if the Gators were going to capitalize. Looked at it as if that was a completed pass, but, we'll see. The refs could deliberate here, and it could go the other way.
We'll take a quick 30-second break, and we'll be back for the possible review call.
Gaining weight was easy. Losing it's a lot harder. I have to work at it every day. But with every step, I lower my risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And that makes it
Morning, Daddy!
very much worth the effort.
Learn how you can help stop diabetes by losing weight, eating healthy, and staying active. Visit checkupamerica.org or call 1-800-DIABETES. A message from the American Diabetes Association.
And we're back after that break, as the umpire for this game is back out on the field. And the ruling will stand. It is a fumble, as field judge Raymond Tate is.
Vanderbilt fans not going to be happy about that one, but good call, offensive call, or good call there by the referees, and that's going to be Florida Gators ball. Going to be 1st and 10 on the 41-yard line.
As referee today is David Smith, along with umpire Paul Myers. So The replay official in the booth is John Ullman for this game, so the SEC once again doing their job in the booth. They couldn't find much evidence there, and the Gators will take over at their own 39. Mertz on the right hash. Pearsall goes in motion, and a fake end around, and Johnson breaks up the middle, picks up 9 on the carry up to the 48.
Great run there by Montrell Johnson. A nice pull put on the left side by the Florida Gators offensive line, getting Montrell Johnson right to the teeth of the Florida Gator. And it looks like there's going to be a player down for the Vanderbilt Commodores on the defensive side of the ball. Got the athletic training staff coming out. And it looks like the clock is coming out. An injury timeout will be taken. We're going to take a...
Yeah, we'll take a break here alongside the Orange and Blue Sports Network. On GHQ, the Gators and the Commodores tied at 7. 32 seconds into the second quarter. We'll be back after these messages. And we're back at the Swamp, 2nd and 1 at the 48 for the Gators after this injury timeout. 14:28 to go in the second, tied at 7. And Vanderbilt, on the last drive that carried into this second quarter, they had a 4th down, looked like they converted, but a fumble, and now the Gators get the ball back as Pearsall goes in motion to the right side. It's handed off to Johnson, and he was met in the backfield, but able to pick up the 1st down going up to midfield.
That's going to move.
And a few skirmishes at the 40-yard line.
It's going to move the chains here for the Florida Gators. There's a little bit of tempers flaring early on in this game. We'll see how that situation seems to evolve. We still got a lot of game time left here.
It looked like the left guard, Richie Leonard IV, who was in that skirmish there, but the Gators still convert the 1st down at the 50. And you will have 2 receivers to the right, including freshman Andy Jean. Snap to Mertz. Johnson running to the left. Will pick up 4 yards.
That's going to be Johnson's 6th carry of the night tonight. Going to be probably at around 60 yards, averaging about 10.8 yards per carry.
Yep, he has been really effective today so far. He had the long 34-yard run earlier in the game. Now the Gators hope to capitalize here. One receiver to each side. Another handoff to Johnson's. He goes to the left side. Breaks with more speed. Goes down to the 25 for a pickup of 21 yards.
And it looks like Johnson was slow to get up there. He's good to go. He's ready to go. Got bashed out of bounds there by two Commodores defenders there. Pivotal first down, 1st and 10 on the 18, 7-7 to go with 12:25 left on the clock and ticking down.
He actually picked up more yards than I expected.
Right?
Looked like he went out at the 25. He gained 7 more there, so pickup of 28 yards. Trayon Webb in the backfield. He'll get the handoff. Goes up the middle, spins, down to the 10. 8-yard pickup for the freshman. And that's his first carry of the game as the Gators are putting together a really good drive that started at their own 39.
Again, this end zone, it's now time for the Gators to capitalize on their end zone opportunities here. They haven't for most of the season. They have so far today. Let's see if they can continue capitalizing in this end zone against these Vanderbilt Commodores defense.
So the two tight ends for the Gators on the left side alongside Ricky Pearsall. And a pitch out to the left side for Webb. He will dive, and he's just out of bounds. Great effort by Webb, but he just stepped out of bounds at the 2-yard line.
Webb, the 5'11 freshman, getting a little bit of playing time here, getting some opportunities as some of the older guys are banged up. Great play and great valiant effort there. As you can see him running off the field, he's throwing his hands down, getting upset, getting angry. He really, really, really wanted that touchdown for the Gators.
Yeah, and a guy that came into Florida with a lot of fight. In fact, you had him on Twitter sometimes recruiting some players to go to Gainesville. As this drive, Mertz rolls out to the right, tries to find, he does find his tight end, Arliss Boardingham, for the touchdown.
Pivotal touchdown here. Gators, Graham Mertz out in the bootleg, running around, throws the ball out to a wide open tight end again on that right side. It seems to be that Vanderbilt is struggling to cover that right side, to keep that right side contained, giving Arliss Boardingham, the 6'3 freshman, an opportunity to score.
Yeah, and the Gators really needed his production as both Jonathan Odom and Dante Zanders are out for this game. Trace Mack coming on for the extra point, and that one's good. A 14-7 lead for the Gators. A 2-yard touchdown by Boardingham on a bootleg after the Gators caused the turnover at their own 39. Gators up 14-7, 10:51 left in the second. We'll be back. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM. Yep, now back at the Swamp. 10:51 left in the second quarter after a 7-play, 61-yard drive by the Gators after the fumble. A 2-yard touchdown from Graham Mertz to Arlis Boardingham on the bootleg. And the Gators are up 14-7. A bit apologies on the end of commercials. Certainly our messages trying to fix whatever's happening here. But hopefully our next break that we have will get the ads out. But the Gators up 14-7 here in the second quarter. Just 4 minutes in as Trace Mack will kick it to the south end zone. And Vanderbilt will concede it. It's a touchback. So it was a much better drive for the Gators, that one, as the players are now hyping up the crowd.
Yeah,
they caused the fumble, and now you want to see the defense have another response after scoring that touchdown.
Right, it seems like the offense has woken up. The defense now has to come on and make some pivotal stops. This will be the true test. Will the defense be able to contain the pass game, as that's what's been pretty evident today, or will the Vanderbilt Commodores be able to come away with something? Defense needing to make a stop here for the Gators' momentum.
Yeah, 2 receivers to each side of Seals. Surprisingly, I don't see Shepard in the game, so we'll have to see what has happened to him. He's been out for a few drives as Seals tries to roll out, but throws it into the ground. Intended for his receiver, number 48, Cameron Johnson, the tight end.
It's going to be 6 for 14 for Seals on the day, 121 yards and 1 touchdown as he throws it into the dirt. Mertz looking a little better on statistics. He's got 8 and 10 for 59 yards and 80% completion rate. You know, not as many yards passing, but a lot less attempts and a lot higher completion rate.
And now as they say that, Will Shepard is back into the game on the left side of Seals alongside McGowan, who goes in motion and will take the ball as he goes to the right. He breaks outside and breaks another tackle. Castell there alongside Thornton to make the tackle. It's a first down for the Commodores as a great run by McGowan gets a first down for the Commodores.
The Vanderbilt Commodores making the stops and blocks where they needed it to make sure that the defensive backs on the Florida Gators weren't able to catch McGowan. A great play designed by the Vanderbilt Commodores.
A 16-yard pickup for McGowan, but just a little over 10 minutes to go in this quarter. The crowd trying to pick it up with 2 receivers on the left for Vanderbilt. He takes the snap, tries to go deep. He's got his man, and another broken coverage down to the 5 is number 85, Junior Sherrill. So a big pickup there for Vanderbilt. That will go for 54 yards.
And those are the things you can't miss. It seems to be that the defense is struggling to contain the pass game today.
Yeah, Jakeem Jackson in coverage there. Now the pass goes out to Shepard, and he's met at the 4-yard line by Jaden Hill. And now Gator slow to get up. Well, he does. Castell will go back. But another one of those big passes by a very heavy, pass-heavy team in Vanderbilt. That goes to 173 yards so far on this day for Seals. And the Gators will hope to stop them on 2nd and goal at the 4.
Pivotal stop here for the Florida Gators defense.
It was under center with Smith in the backfield. And over the middle, it is incomplete. Tried to find Sherrill. Better coverage there by Jackson. The ball a bit out in front of Sherrill, and it will bring up a 3rd down.
Gators weren't fooled by that play. It looks like there's some substitutions coming in and off the field. They're putting some fresh guys in. 3rd down and short for the Vanderbilt Commodores. The crowd getting loud. This is an essential play for the Vanderbilt Commodores and an essential stop for the Florida Gators defense.
Chase Gillespie in the backfield for Vanderbilt. It's their 3rd string running back. Now in motion is Shepard. He's picked up by Jackson. And trying to move around to the back. It's out of bounds. tried to throw it to the back of the end zone as Skinner was moving to the left side, but he couldn't keep his feet in bounds, and it will bring up a 4th down.
4th and goal. Looks on the 4-yard line. It looks like Vanderbilt's going to elect to stay in. Again, the right choice here.
Yep, definitely a great choice by a team that already has 207 yards so far in this game. And they know that with their defense that hasn't been too consistent, this crowd is very insane right now. But Vanderbilt trying to keep pace with this Florida offense. In motion is A.J. Swan. And trying to find the end zone. It's incomplete. To the right side, in coverage was Jackson. Seals tried to find number 48, Cameron Johnson, his tight end, but an incompletion, and the Gators will take over. So a great defensive stand for the Gators, and they'll get the ball with 96 yards to drive this time.
What a devastating blow for the Vanderbilt Commodores. They had a lot of momentum there. They were looking to come away with something. They were stopped short, and as the Gators crowd absolutely erupts, I can't even hear my own thoughts up here.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll take a break. After this, the Gators will get the ball back. They have 96 yards to drive for a touchdown. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM. Gators up 14-7. We'll be back. Welcome back to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. The Florida Gators up 14-7. Vanderbilt had a pretty long drive there after a really big passing gain of 54 yards from Seals to Sherrill. Unfortunately, they couldn't capitalize after that. They had a 1st and goal from the 6. But the Gators defense stood strong there and get the ball after an incompletion on 4th down. Johnson behind Mertz. Will fake the handoff, and the same play as they ran for the touchdown. Mertz to Boardingham on the right side. And they'll move the change for the 1st down. A 12-yard pickup for Boardingham. Khalil Jackson to the right side, Pearsall to the left. Both tight ends on the line could be lining up for a handoff here. Johnson takes the handoff. Vanderbilt tried to break into the backfield. They didn't, was led by number 10, Langston Patterson. So a pickup of 1 for Johnson. 2nd and 9 for the Gators. 7:38 left, 14-7. Gators up. Eugene Wilson checks back into the game. He's on the right side as Pearsall and Jackson are on the left. Johnson to the right of Mertz. Wilson goes in motion right to left as the snap's taken. Goes over to left side as Jackson. He tried to break away, but he'll pick up 7 yards. It brings up a 3rd and short on the left hash.
Seems to be that the Gators offense is getting the ball moving here. Currently quiet, trying to figure out some of our technology issues here on our little soundboard here to get you some ad during the ad break, so it's not just pitch silence.
Up 3rd down for the Gators. Wilson in motion again. A fake pitch, and they'll try to find Gene. He got it. Going to the right side, up to the 40. That was actually Montrell Johnson. My bad. I have to put on glasses this time, but Montrell Johnson goes all the way up to the 42-yard line. And the Gators in business with the big pickup on 1st down.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see from up here in the nosebleeds. Great spot, though. Great play by Montrell Johnson down the right side and picking up quite a few yards of the Gators.
And a fake screen pass, and Florida likely will get a holding call as the pass went to Johnson over the middle. Spins to the 45. It's a pickup of 3, but that play is probably coming back on a holding call. 2 flags were thrown. Well, they call it hands to the face, and now be even more yardage tacked on for the Gators.
Again, some more costly penalties that the Gators cannot afford to have. That's going to cost the Gators quite a few yards there. And again, some of these, even though they're not high in penalties quite yet, I mean, costing the Gators almost 30 yards in total penalties. It's, again, trends that we cannot continue to see having if the Gators defense wants to do something here.
So instead of a 1st and 20, it's a 1st and 25 after the hands to the face penalty.
We'll bring them all the way back to the 27.
Yep. And Trayon Webb's in the backfield this time for the Gators. Pearsall and Wilson to the right side. Webb goes to left, and he dropped the ball. It's incomplete, ruled by the far sideline judge.
You know, maybe the previous rain or something, but it seems like players on both sides of the ball can't seem to make catches today.
It's the 2nd time already this game we've seen a Gators running back out of the backfield have trouble with trying to catch the ball out there. Probably move their eyes up too fast, think about where they're going downfield, and it causes the incompletion. Brings up a 2nd and very long for the Gators. The 2 receivers to each side of Mertz. He takes the snap, coming from the edge, and Gene will get his first reception of the game. Not much yardage out of that, pickup of 2.
And it's going to be 3rd and quite long for the Florida Gators. Again, another costly penalty by the defense that has pitted them in a or another costly penalty, that has really pitted them in a hard spot.
And Vanderbilt had pressure from the edge of their anchor position, Jeffrey Ugochukwu, and the Gators will now have a 3rd and 23. And pressure off the edge, it's flipped out to Webb. And unfortunately, he didn't get the block from the edge, and that'll be a 4th down.
Gators looking for a call against roughing the passer, and they're not going to get it. The boos are drowning out my headset here at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. They're looking for something, and the refs are not going to be giving them anything today.
And so the Gators, after the big penalty that pushed them back 15 yards, they'll have to punt, and Jeremy Crawshaw will punt for his 2nd time of the game.
You know, and this seems to be the story of the Florida Gators, is just these costly penalties.
And what a great pump by Crawshaw. That is still bouncing right to the 5-yard line of Vanderbilt.
Looks
a
like
63-yard punt for Jeremy Crawshaw. And we'll head to a break. Hopefully our technology works this time around. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM. Gators up 14-7, 4:35 left in the second quarter. Florida Gators up 14-7 here in the second quarter with 4:35 left before the break. The Gators had to punt on their last drive, but a great punt by Jeremy Crawshaw has the Commodores pinned inside the 5. And so Vanderbilt, who had a pretty good drive last time around, couldn't convert on fourth and goal, and they'll run out now as Alexander takes the handoff. They'll go for 2 yards up to the 7. So far in this game, Commodores have 207 total yards, so they've done their work so far in this game. In the passing game, unfortunately, that only has resulted in 1 touchdown for them. So on 2nd and 8 at the 7, going back into the backfield is Alexander. He'll take the handoff, and he'll go for about 4 yards to the 11.
And it looks like in the backfield, Jordan Castell, he took a little bit of a tumble on the last play. He's holding his hip. He's still out there. He doesn't look to be feeling all that great. Seems to be a little bit of a problem. Third and 4 on the 11-yard line. 14-7 your score. The Gators crowd getting loud. You can see Trevor Etienne on the bench trying to hype this Gators fan base up.
Yeah, Etienne out with an undisclosed injury with 6 other offensive starters for the Gators outside, and Jaden Hill makes an absolutely brilliant tackle on 3rd down. McGowan got the pass to the left side, but he was met by Hill as soon as he got the ball.
Vanderbilt Commodores are going to punt it away. They're deep in Gator territory. Even though it's 4th and 1, that's not something that they can afford to gamble on. Looks like the kicker for the punter, for the Commodores is going to be sitting in the end zone when he takes this.
And the Gators have called a timeout, so with 2:30, they'll reset the game clock to 2:53. So the Gators hoping to have their final drive of the second quarter turn to fruition. They do get the ball to start the second half as they won the toss and deferred. So if Vanderbilt were to punt here, that could be the last drive of the first half for Florida, and you would hope that they could extend their lead to 14.
Hayball deep in the right at the end of the end zone, right at the line, receiving this punt, looking to punt away to an ever-waiting Pearsall, who's sitting right behind the Florida Gators crest at around about 40-yard line.
And Hayball punts it. It's a pretty good punt. Pearsall has to back up to the 26. He takes it, tries to go up the middle, but is spun down by number 21, Savion Riley.
Now the Florida Gators offense is coming out on the field today.
And so far for the Gators in this game, 215 yards for the offense. That's not too bad, but considering what they could have done in this game offensively, it's going to be a bit disappointing with what the score is and considering Vanderbilt's defense going into this game.
Right, I think going into the locker room, they're going to be talking a lot about those silly, costly errors. And again, just making sure that they don't have those moving forward, because that's really what's been causing the Florida Gators on both sides of the ball today.
Johnson to the left of Mertz as he takes the snap. Fake handoff. Oh, he did hand it off. Johnson does break out, but he only will gain a yard out of that. Johnson already in this game, 88 yards on 9 attempts, including a 34-yard run in the first quarter, the first drive of the game for the Gators, which set up the 14-yard end around by Ricky Pearsall for the Gators' first touchdown of the game. The Gators hope to extend the lead to 21-7 here as a pitch to the far sideline to Jackson. He'll pick up about 5. It brings up another third down for the Gators.
And it seems to be that the play calling's gotten a little more conservative again. And that's where we need to see it out of Billy Napier to start getting creative here, because he has the opportunity to do that with this Vanderbilt defense.
3rd and 4 at the 35 on the right hash. Wilson went to the left side. And Mertz has to go. Pitches. Oh, what a great pitch to Boardingham. And he'll rule it down. And we'll see what the ruling is, as the right judge ruled it was down, but there was a fumble after the play in which Vanderbilt did recover. The play clock still is going, so we'll have to wait till the referee stops it. He does with 1:11 left in the second.
It looked like as if he got his knees down before the ball came out.
Yeah, and that's what the referee, David Smith, rules. It'll be a minute 25 left after a great pitch up the middle from Mertz to Boardingham. He's been really crucial in this game for the Gators, 19 yards out of that. And to the left is a throw to, it looks like, once again, it is Boardingham. So
Boardingham running down that SEC pylon of the chains there, giving the guy who's holding that a little bit of a scare. I don't know. I wouldn't like 6'3", 240 pounds running at me at about 20 miles an hour.
And Boardingham gets the start over injured Jonathan Odom, who's out for today. And that goes for a pickup of 9. So Boardingham so far, 4 receptions, 41 yards, leads the Gators so far in this game, including the 2-yard bootleg touchdown for the second score for the Gators. And a fake to Wilson, but a really poor throw to the right side to Pearsall. There will be a flag as the helmet of Leonard came off for the Gators. So the referee's discussing this. The flag is in the backfield at Florida's 45-yard line. And it will go against Vanderbilt on the penalty, a 15-yard penalty. And the Gators are in business with 1:10 left in this 14-7 game.
Costly error by the Vanderbilt Commodores defense. A very poor pass by Graham Mertz there. Pearsall had quite a bit of space before that defensive back was going to come at him. Again, those passes got to be a little more precise if you want to see something coming out of the offense.
1st and 10 at the 22-yard line. Mertz on the left hash going towards the south end zone. 2 running backs in the backfield. In motion goes Wilson. He throw it out there. A missed block. He gets away from it. Gets down to the 20, and that's where he'll be stopped. It's just a 2-yard gain out of that. He does go out of bounds, so that'll stop the clock at 1:04.
Look, Gators looking to get 2 scores ahead before the end of the half, giving them a nice comfortable lead going into the locker room. A little bit of a missed block or missed tackle there by the Commodores defense, and that gives a little bit of running room for Eugene Wilson. Again, another one of those young guys getting some playing time today.
Yeah, 2 receivers now to each side. Andy Jean in the slot on the right side. Wilson goes in motion. Handoff is to Johnson, who goes towards his left, tries to stretch the defense out, goes down to the 14, and Billy Napier will call a timeout for the Gators with 58 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, we're looking to stop that clock to give the Gators as much opportunity to get another score in before they head into the tunnel. We're going to take a quick ad break here. Hopefully, God willing, our technology works. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for joining us on the Orange and Blue Student Network on GHQ. Your score 14-7 with 58 seconds left on the clock here at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
And now we're back after that short break. The Gators have a 3rd and 2 on Vanderbilt's 14. Pearsall and Wilson out to Mertz's left. Johnson in the backfield as Pearsall goes in motion. That was Wilson in motion, actually. And going far left, he had a wide open Jackson, and a flag is thrown in the backfield. We'll see what it is. But Jackson was wide open, but Mertz could not convert there.
Mertz a little slow to get up there. Again, another pass that just needs to be completed there. Widely overthrown, wide open receiver there for the Florida Gators. And that.
It's a roughing the passer call against Vanderbilt. So 2 calls in this game that have really cost that defense on this drive.
And that's going to give the Florida Gators some pivotal position here in the end zone. Again, now it's time for the Florida Gators to capitalize here in the end zone, as that has been a struggle all season long.
And now at the penalty, it's 1st and goal at the 7-yard line with 53 seconds. The Gators up by 7. But we saw that last game against Kentucky, even with how efficient Mertz was, some of the deep throws that he should have made, he didn't make. So that's something you want to see Mertz growing, even if he has been efficient so far. As he takes a snap, will drop back, pressure from the edge, he gets out of it, tries to find Wilson, he'll throw it away. Great recognition, though, by Mertz to get out of that blindside tackle position and to really roll out and get the ball away.
Mertz still 17 for 21 on the game with 138 yards. Some decent completions, not a lot of yards. Again, there could have been opportunity for him to pick up some more yards and more completions on some 2 passes that he just should have completed with wide open Gators.
And now that brings up a 2nd down with 46 seconds left before the half. Gators up 14-7. as a fake pitch to Pearsall. Johnson breaks up the middle. Touchdown, Gators!
20-7 your score. The Gators going up now 2 scores on the Vanderbilt Commodores with 41 seconds left in the second quarter. This is exactly the energy they needed heading into the locker room. Great run by Montrell Johnson there. A little bit of a fake handoff, getting the Vanderbilt Commodores defense a little bit off guard here, as it looks like the kicking squad and Trey Smack is coming on, looking to smack one right in between the uprights.
And the Gators, they really needed that drive, as we mentioned. 8 plays, 71 yards. Took only 2 minutes off the clock, but Montrell Johnson now has 11 attempts for 98 yards, including that touchdown. And Trey Smack kicks it through the uprights. A low kick, but it's good. 21-7 Gators, 41 seconds to go before the half. And that's really what the Gators needed, as we mentioned.
Right. This is exactly the momentum they need going into the halftime break. Looking at the Vanderbilt Commodores, I mean, if they put something together, if they get a few quick pass plays cracked off, they still got a lot of time. They still have 41 seconds left in this quarter. You know, anything can happen. There's still 2 timeouts. The Commodores still have 2 timeouts, so they have a reasonable opportunity here to put some points on the board before they go into the locker room as well. So it's up to the Gators to be able to stop them in their tracks to keep it a 2-score game going into the half.
And so far for the Commodores, they do have 215 total yards of offense. So they've done well moving the ball around, just hasn't converted to what they were expecting. Only 1 touchdown, which came from an 85-yard pass from Seals to Shepard. But they have their chance, as you mentioned, 41 seconds left, 2 timeouts. Smack lining up for the kickoff towards the south end zone. 21-7, Gators up with 41 seconds left in the half, as he'll send this one out for the touchback.
They're going to let it go. Looking at the total offense here, Gators have 264 total yards. Vanderbilt has 215. Gators a little bit more balanced on their pass makeup. The pass yards 138 and rush yards 126. If you look at Vanderbilt's stats, they only have 36 total yards on the ground. The other remaining 179 have been in the air. So it just goes to show how vital the receiving core is on this Vanderbilt squad and how much work they're doing to air the ball out and have some of their playmakers, you know, Humphreys, Shepard, and McGowan, really make some plays here for the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Yeah, and so far, the running backs for the Commodores have only gone 16 yards. 6 carries, 13 yards for Alexander. 1 carry, 3 yards for Smith. As Seals takes this out to the right side. Goes out of bounds with 36 seconds left in the half. 2nd and 8 coming up for Vanderbilt.
2nd and 8 at the 27. 36 seconds left. They still have 2 timeouts. They still have a lot of time to do something. Again, this is not the time to be shutting them out. They can air the ball out and send one long, which they have been shown that they're capable of doing.
Yeah, 2 safeties back for the Gators. You know, it looks like man coverage. As James trying to cover the tight end on the field right now, as that ball is brought out on the screen, as it's number 4, Patrick Smith, who goes out of the backfield to pick up a pretty good gain for Vanderbilt. It's 21 yards with 22 seconds left. Going quickly, takes the snap. Now to the far sideline. Great coverage there by Kimber for the Gators. Breaking up that pass to Skinner.
It's going to stop the clock, leaving the Commodores 15 seconds left on the clock. 2nd and 11 on the 43. They're still not quite past that 50-yard line. 21-7 your score. Looks like Smack's lining up right behind the center there. You got 2 on each side of them on the outside. looking to make a play here.
That was the first time we called Kimber's name today, so that must be a good thing, in fact.
Yep, he's in the backfield as well.
Rothmann brings pressure off the edge, couldn't get to Seals. They tried to get tackles. It was Shamar James in the end who did get a tackle on Seals, and they'll bring a timeout with 6 seconds left in the half.
And again, it's those missed tackles, right? I mean, Umami Ellen was in a tough compromising position, but then Seals, was able to break through another tackle. And again, those are the tackles that the Florida Gators need to desperately make.
Yeah, Monmi Ellen came into this game as one of the top pressure rate guys in the conference, and so far he has shown that so far, putting pressure on the quarterback, but you want that to convert to sacks sometimes, and that one he misses again.
Right, and I mean, that's the thing. The Gators have been doing a decent job. They're not looking like they did last week against Kentucky, missing tackles left and right. But, like you said, Imami Ellen, you'd like to see him finish and pick up a sack, not only for the fans, but for his stat lines himself.
6 seconds left in this half. Looks like 2 defensive ends for the Gators, one up the middle. Take the snap, pressure overrunning, and a takedown to end the half from Tyreek Sapp. Now the Gators will go into the half up 21-7. It hasn't been the prettiest game for the team, but they're up by 14.
Right, that 2 scores going into the locker room is quite large, and that was a great sack there on Seals. Seals got absolutely schmacked right at the nose of the Florida Gator. And so going into the locker room, going into this halftime, there's going to be a lot of discussion, but Matt, what are we thinking? Going into the halftime, what are both sides going to be talking to their teams about, both offensively and defensively on the side of the ball?
Yeah, definitely the Gators so far have done really well. Managing the game, it wasn't pretty at the start defensively, gave up that long touchdown. But their offense did hang in there, and they did provide some really big plays that have led to 3 touchdowns. But with that, you want that to continue. And we'll be back for scores around the nation after these few messages. Hopefully this time it works, but you've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ. And welcome back to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. The halftime report brought to you by the Orange and Blue Sports Network. Going across the SEC
Alrighty.
for college football as the Gators are up 21-7 against the Vanderbilt Commodores. It was a big game in Missouri today as LSU took on the Missouri Tigers, and it was a back-and-forth game, but it ended in a win for the LSU Tigers, 49 to 39.
Wow, what a shootout there. You know, last time I checked, it looked like it was going to be Mizzou coming away and taking that. That would have been huge for them. I mean, they'll still keep their ranking. They put up a valiant effort. But again, great game there.
And also in the SEC, Mississippi State picked up a 41-28 win over Western Michigan. 262 yards passing by Hayden Wolf, and Mississippi State once again win at home. Currently happening right now, Alabama in a tough fight against Texas A&M. Both teams 4-1 on the year. Alabama just scored a 15-yard touchdown from Jalen Milroe to Jermaine Burton for 15 yards, and now that game is tied at College Station.
It's been quite the tough season for Alabama, something that's not characteristic. Usually we don't see them ranked in the double digits. You know, that's something that's really, you know, not common to see, not something that we're used to. But, you know, this could be a down year for Saban. You know, who knows? I mean, first world problems, being ranked 11th and being in a tough spot, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll be back in a couple minutes for the scores around the nation, top 25. You've been listening to the Florida Gators student broadcast to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM. We're still at the halftime break here at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. The Gators up 21-7 against Vanderbilt. And now for the scores of the top 25. Right now, Washington State playing in Los Angeles against UCLA. They're up 17-12. Currently have a fourth down at their own 28, so they'll likely punt there. Florida State, who is coming off a few tough games in the past couple weeks, but They're still 4-0 on the year. They're up 29-17. Currently just got the ball back from Virginia Tech, up 29-17. We mentioned Alabama and Texas A&M tied at 17. North Carolina taking a commanding 30-7 lead over the Syracuse Orange as they look to continue to stay unbeaten in the ACC. Drake May so far having a great game for the Tar Heels with 319 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Later tonight, we'll see Michigan going against the Minnesota Gophers. Arkansas will play against Ole Miss. Notre Dame, Louisville will be on tonight on ABC at Cardinal Stadium. Georgia Tech will play Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. Fresno State and Wyoming in the Mountain West will face off. And Oregon State will play against California at Berkeley. USC will play a home match late in the night against Arizona. And number 1 Georgia will take on number 20 Kentucky. Both teams are unbeaten so far, 2-0 in the SEC. And this should be a great game at Athens. Some final scores so far today. Texas losing in the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma. The Sooners stay unbeaten. Quinn Ewers had 346 yards in this game, but 2 interceptions. Dylan Gabriel shined for Oklahoma in this game as they pick up a big win over one of their heated rivals in Texas. And it all comes from a late touchdown score in a 5-play, 75-yard drive from Dylan Gabriel to Nick Anderson from 3 yards out for the Sooners win. Also today, Ohio State pulled away from Maryland to win 37-17. Ohio State and Maryland were tied 17-17 in the third, but Ohio State scores 17 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to win that game and stay unbeaten in the Big Ten.
Yeah, we got some big games coming up tonight. I'm especially excited to see Michigan and Minnesota. I'm a Wisconsin guy, so I love to see those Big Ten rivalries. Of course, Arkansas and Mississippi will be a good game, but what I'm most excited for is to watch Kentucky against Georgia. I mean, Georgia struggled against Auburn last week, only coming away a score ahead of the Auburn Tigers. And I mean, Kentucky has been firing on all cylinders, so will this be a game where Georgia's able to shut them out, or will Kentucky be keeping on that roll and on that win streak and climb up the rankings?
Yeah, and we'll be back in a few minutes for the summary of the first half. You've been listening to the Florida Gators to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM. And now we're back. Just around 4 minutes to go in the halftime break. The Florida Gators up 21-7 after the first half. And this was a game so far to this point that was really up and down for the Gators, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you know, they had some issues. They had some penalties that were obviously some mistakes, some slow starts, some, you know, pivotal plays that, you know, went in Vanderbilt's favor. But at the end of the day, they cleaned it up at the end of the second quarter, and they went in with a promising lead going into the locker room. Looking at the Vanderbilt offense, so 237 total yards, 194 of those are coming from the air, only 43 on the ground. And so Cedric Alexander is leading the charge for the Vanderbilt offense on the ground with 19 yards. Jaden McGowan not short behind him with 16. And Ken Seals actually picking up 13 yards and a little bit of scramble action as well. But where the numbers are really shining for the Vanderbilt Commodores is with Will Shepard. I mean, he's got 107 total yards. He's got an 85-yard long completion, and he's got a touchdown. So, I mean, looking at Vanderbilt, Will Shepard in the receiving corps is really carrying the offense today. Looking at the Florida side of the ball, it's a little more evenly spread. We got Montrell Johnson with 98 total yards. He's got a touchdown, averaging 8.9 yards carry. Trayon Webb, the young guy, the young freshman's also picking up some yards as well. He's only got 16 on the ground, but he averages 8 per carry. Ricky Pearsall is doing Ricky Pearsall things as well. Looking at another freshman, Arliss Boardingham, he's got, for receiving yards, he's got 41 yards and a touchdown. His longest run is 19. And so, I mean, looking at the offensive side for the Florida Gators, a lot of these freshmen, a lot of this young blood is showing some promising talent. You know, in the absence of Trevor Etienne, you know, 2 starting tight ends, it looks like the Gators and some of this young blood are pretty promising.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the Trevor Etienne out today with an undisclosed injury, but some other guys like Caleb Douglas, Jonathan Odom also out for the Gators, so they're missing 3 offensive weapons on their own end, but you've seen guys like Boardingham step up. Montrell Johnson has taken the load so far. He has 98 yards on the ground, and so far, even though it could have been better from the offense, you still have to be happy with how they've done so far in this game.
Right. I mean, coming up ahead 2 scores into the half, you know, I think it's obviously time for them to wake up, but I think it is now time for Napier to get a little creative. I mean, you know, he's up 2 scores. You know, that first score didn't, or the first creative play call didn't necessarily work. It turned into, you know, a turnover going the Commodores' way. But I think what Napier should do in this second half is, you know, start giving these young guys the ball, seeing what he can do with these young offensive weapons that are going to be the future of the Florida Gators program. See if he can put some points on the board. But most importantly, I think this is his time where he gets a little more gutsy with the play calling. He moves away from that conservatism, and he gets creative so he can show the world that he's an innovative play caller versus, you know, just calling the status quo.
Yeah, and we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be back for the start of the second half. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ. And we are back for just getting ready to start the start of the second half. Florida Gators up 21-7 against the Vanderbilt Commodores, as Vanderbilt will kick towards the south end zone. with Jason Marshall back deep for the Gators.
The sun is setting. The temps are starting to cool off. The lights have burned on as the Vanderbilt Commodores kick it away.
And it will take a knee in the end zone. Andy Jean was also back there. And the Gators will start the second half at their own 25. So Graham Mertz in that first half, 17 for 21, 138 yards and a touchdown. He was efficient, but there were some throws where you just went, you gotta put that on target.
Right, there's nothing where I was super impressed. I mean, there was a quick little pitch there in the second quarter there that ended up being pivotal for the drive, but nothing too impressive. Let's see if he can change my opinions in the second half here.
So far, Mertz has been efficient in this game, but hasn't thrown the deep ball as much as we've seen, as he has to scramble out of the pocket and is taken down on the backside as he tried to go to the left. And he's down. It was number 0 for the Commodores, Aeneas DeCosmo, who made the tackle around the edge.
Mertz, a little normally slow for being, he's usually slow getting up from whenever he's rocked, but he was rocked pretty good on that play. And it looks like the athletic staff is checking on him. Hopefully it's nothing too bad.
Seems like he'll at least have to come out for a play, so we see number 17 for the Gators, Max Brown, taking some reps. Still a bit unclear with Jack Miller, who came into the season as the number 2 quarterback, but we see Brown going out there for the snap.
Brown, another young guy here on the Florida offense here, looking to make his debut this season.
He's only played one game so far this season against McNeese State. But Brown's the 2-star athlete, both in football as he's on the field today and in baseball. Plays for the Florida Gators baseball team, and as well as flag on the play. And this is probably going back 5 yards.
Not the way that the Gators want to start this second quarter here. Pretty impressive, though, seeing Max Brown being a 2-sport athlete in Division I NCAA athletics. You don't see that often in D3 athletics. You really don't see that in D2. And it's almost never that you see it in D1 athletics. So the fact that he's able to start SEC playing 2 separate sports is quite the impressive feat here.
Brown in the shotgun, he takes the snap. He'll hand it off to Johnson, who spins out of a tackle. Will only get around 4 yards out of it. And this brings up a 3rd and very long for the Gators at their own 21.
It's going to be interesting to see what Billy Napier does on the play calling. Does he have trust in this young quarterback that he's got, or is he going to go back to the status quo and be a little more conservative? I think he's going to stay a little more on the conservative side, but I mean, it's 3rd and long. He's got 2 wide receivers on each side, 2 guys out on each side. Let's see what he does.
2 safeties deep for Vanderbilt, 2 receivers to each side of Brown. And the play clock already went to 0. No flag was thrown, and Johnson, who took the handoff, goes to the 27-yard line. Not enough for the first down. And the Gators, with the 3 now in their first drive, will punt.
Hopefully Mertz is okay there in the UF Health tent. Let's hope it was just he got banged up, maybe a bruise, maybe something. We don't want that to be anything too severe, as he's a pretty important asset on this Florida Gators offense here.
Now Crawshaw will punt it for the Gators. It's 3rd punt today. Hit one 63 yards his last time, and this one is also really deep. Is another poor coverage for the Gators on that special teams play. That was a big thing for Florida last week as they struggled covering a lot of punts and kickoffs against Kentucky.
You know, and that's another issue that Florida has been having. They've been having an abysmal special teams crew here, not being able to stop anything, missed field goals, sloppy penalty attempts. That is something that is going to have to take some serious consideration going into the offseason.
And Vanderbilt gets the ball back on their own 31-yard line. Crawshaw hit that 59 yards, but Shepard returned it for 17 yards as an end around goes to Skinner, looks like, and he's thrown down by Jason Marshall.
Got to be careful there. That could have been a flag toss by the refs. Lucky there on Marshall that they didn't. A little bit of a late spin and grab. You could hear the crowd getting a little tense there. 1st and 10 for the Florida Gators. Still 21-7 with 11:58 left in the third quarter.
Yeah, it was a 9-yard gain for McGowan on the end around. Now, Seals has 3 receivers to his left side with Alexander in the backfield. McGowan goes in motion toward the right side. 11:39 to go in the third quarter. Seals takes the snap, drops back around the edge and almost picked off. And a flag comes in towards the end. RJ Moten was in coverage for the Gators.
Looks like it may be a late flag. We'll see what the call is. Probably going to be a pass interference.
Called a pass interference. The crowd certainly doesn't like that. It will be another first down for the Commodores.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty poor call on the referees there. It looks like the Vanderbilt receiver there was a little bit responsible for that one. I don't know about the call there on that one.
It seemed like Moten did jump the ball and had position for it, and receiver ran into him. So a controversial call there, and Vanderbilt's now up to midfield. Down 14. Seals takes the snap, hands it off to Alexander, who will dive forward for 3 yards.
Looks like the Vanderbilt Commodores offense is awake too. Gators defense just a tad bit flat. Let's see if they can come away with something here. See if they can rile up the crowd. The crowd obviously not happy in the beginning of the third quarter here.
Yep, 2nd and 7, around 11 minutes to go in this third quarter. Vanderbilt hoping to cut into this deficit, down by 14. Would be great for them to make it a one-score game. As pressure comes up the middle, and the ball goes deep, and great coverage down that side by Kimber again. It's a second pass defense of the game.
And it looks like the Gators are starting to figure it out a little more on the outside there. Those DBs doing a great job of pass protection and coverage, keeping the ball out of the hands of the offenders on the on the Vanderbilt Commodores squad, Seem to be flipping up Florida and Vanderbilt a little bit. My apologies.
And it was number 20, Mitchell, that brought the pressure up the middle for the Gators. A 3rd down and 7 as the crowd raising as one to its feet. Goes in motion and well read by Shamar James, who came into this game for the Gators leading in tackles with 35. He gets Seals down for a loss of 1, and now seems like they're leaving him on the field. An interesting decision by Vanderbilt. They're only on the Gators' 48-yard line. It looks like they'll go for it. 4th and 8.
You know, they might try to draw him off, but that is a really gutsy play call by the play caller on the Vanderbilt Commodore side.
Shepard to the far left, Alexander in the backfield. The crowd up on its feet, and the flag is thrown for delay of game.
And I don't know too much about what Vanderbilt was thinking. Maybe they're trying to draw him off. Maybe they're trying to come up with something innovative, but I mean, now it's going to be 4th and 13 and some change. They're going to have to kick the ball away.
Yeah, whether it was bringing up more space for the punt team or trying to draw them off, certainly that was one of their duties, it seemed like. And
yeah, I'm thinking more on giving the punt team some more space here. Looks like Pearsall's deep in the Florida territory. He's going to be the one receiving the kick from Hayball.
Well, Hayball at the 33 on the hash line for Vanderbilt. Dick Snap punts it really deep towards the right side, and it will take a Vanderbilt bounce inside the 10.
Looks like it's going to come out at around the 8-yard line, and that's where the Gators are going to be picking it up. It looks like Mertz, let's see. I saw him on the Megatron there. It looks like he's out on the field. Looks like he's A-okay.
Yep, so what was a 43-yard punt by Hayball, and the Gators will have to drive down the field for a really long distance again.
Now Mertz has to be careful now. He's got a little bit of a sore knee here. We'll presumably we don't want to assume or we don't want to know, but Mertz has to ensure that he's not getting banged up too much now, as he's been slow to get up on a few hits during this game. So it looks like he's back in. Looks like he's throwing the ball around. He's jumping around, up on his feet, mobile. It's a good sign for the Florida Gators side.
Yep, we'll take a quick break here for the next Florida Gators possession. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ. Welcome back to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It's third quarter with 9:41 remaining in the third. 21-7 Gators. Florida has the ball now at their own 9-yard line, so they'll have to drive 91 yards for a score. As Mertz did come back out, and the first play goes to the top receiver so far in this game, Boardingham. The same play as they had for the touchdown. They've run the same play before, and this one once again goes for a pretty good chunk of yardage, 23-yard pickup for Boardingham.
Boardingham having quite the day there. You know, the Gators continuing to find success on that right side. Just a lapse of coverage there by the Commodore defense.
Snap goes to Mertz. An end around to the left side. Pearsall has blockers, goes ahead of them, and will go up to the 42.
You know, that was the same play that my high school played over and over and over again. So it's a little bit of a deja vu here, seeing the end around little crisscross pattern there. You know, that was what, back in my small hometown of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, that is what brought their football days glory back in the 80s and 90s. Now it's just not as effective, but I digress.
2nd and 1 for the Gators. 2 tight ends to the right side. Wilson goes in motion. Handoff is to Johnson. He'll go forward for a first down. 2-yard pickup.
It's going to be right at around the 39-yard line. Yeah, or on the 44, excuse me. It's going to still be in Gator territory, 21-7 your score. Looks like we got 2 wide.
8 minutes left in the third quarter. Gators up 21-7, trying to extend this lead. As Mertz drops back to the right, fires it, and it went off the helmet of the Vanderbilt defender. Tried to find Wilson down the field, but couldn't get to him.
Again, and like we're talking about, some of those passes that just need to be completed. If that was thrown a little higher, there would have been a lot of running space there. Again, just pivotal passes that Mertz needs to complete.
So far, going downfield in this game, Mertz hasn't really done as good of a job to complete passes, as this one's a short one to Eugene Wilson as he breaks out the speed for a first down to the 45 for the Gators. So they tried to use that screen pass before, didn't work. This time it does, and the Gators pick up a very crucial first down.
He was able to come in contact with Wilson that time around. Unfortunately, on that last play, found the helmet of the Commodores defense. Looks like Mertz is going to be in the shotgun now.
2 receivers to each side. Johnson to Mertz's right as Boardingham goes into a blocking position. Tries to go over the middle. Now a long shot to the right side, trying to find Pearsall. It's incomplete, and you see once again the Gators getting receivers open downfield. Unfortunately, Mertz hasn't been able to hit them so far in this game.
You know, at this point, it's going to be on Mertz. I mean, his stats look all right. 19 for 24 with 173 yards, or 19 for 25, excuse me, with 173 yards. But those crucial missed passes, I mean, his receivers are getting open. He's either overthrowing them, underthrowing them, or just not throwing them in anywhere where his receivers are at.
Mertz in the shotgun. Johnson out left. It's now screened to Johnson, a bit behind him, but he corrals it and will go out of bounds at the 40-yard line.
And it seems that Napier, again, is trying to figure out what works. That screen pass out to the left side's been working so far, and so it's going to bring a 35 on the Vanderbilt 39-yard line with 6:47 left in the third, 21-7 your score.
3rd and 5 for the Gators inside Vanderbilt territory. Andy Jean checks into the game. He's on the right side alongside Jaquavion Fraziers. 4 seconds left on the play clock. Wilson in motion as he takes the pitch outside, tries to make a man miss. He did, but can't make the second man miss. He picks up 3 yards, and this sets up an interesting position for the Gators. 4th and 2 at the 36-yard line of Vanderbilt.
You know, I think it's a no-brainer to go for it on this one.
And that's what they're doing as the offense is left on the field. Pearsall checks back into the game. He and Jackson will be on that right side. Jackson in the slot. 1 safety up top for Vanderbilt. Jackson goes in motion on 4th down. The screen behind Pearsall, but he makes a great catch. Great adjustment to go towards his right over the middle on the slant, and the Gators pick up a big first down, pickup of 6.
You know, you could just hear the sigh of relief by the Florida Gators crowd here. Pivotal connection there to Pearsall to get the first down on the 29. 1st and 10 for the Florida Gators as they're nearing the end zone.
Yep. First and 10 at the 29. 5:10 left. Gators still up 21-7. Trying to extend this lead here as a fake to the left side. Mertz has to get rid of it. He does. And it's incomplete. Pressure brought off the edge by Vanderbilt. It's number 32, Ethan Barr, and a flag will be thrown for intentional grounding as Mertz could not get that ball past the line of scrimmage.
Unfortunate there. Mertz doesn't seem to agree with that call. He's talking to the man in the white cap there in the striped uniform. Seem to be having a little bit of a conversation. And it looks like it's going to go back to second and 22, excuse me, on the Vanderbilt 41.
Yeah, the loss of down for the Gators will bring up a second and long. So those big losses the Gators have had so far in some of their offensive drives have really cost them. They haven't been able to fight back after those. This is another one that they'd have to fight back from with 5 minutes left in the third. Johnson to the right of Mertz, 3 receivers to the left. And Wilson out there, the throw's a bit high, he comes down with it, and he gets down to the 34. So they still need around 15 yards for the first down. It's 3rd and 15 at the 34.
Making some defensive changes there on the Vanderbilt Commodores side. Play signalers communicating with Mertz. Hear the crowd getting behind him.
A big 3rd and 15 for the Gators. 4 for 8 today on 3rd downs. This one of their longest ones. 7 seconds left on the play clock. Mertz directs traffic. He's got to hurry, and he takes a snap, but Napier called timeout as Mertz was taking a bit of time trying to get his offense set.
You know, they still got 2 timeouts. Maybe not the best situation, but, you know, this gives Napier an opportunity to talk to his offense, to get a concrete plan down on this 3rd and long in the 34. And, I mean, try to make something work. I mean, they're nearing the end zone. This is an opportunity that they can't miss out on here. If they're able to get up 3 scores on the Vanderbilt Commodores, you know, the opportunity becomes even larger for them to shut the door on the game.
Yep, well, we'll take a quick break. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ. The Gators lead 21-7 with 4:21 left in the third. We'll be back. Yep, we're back at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium for the Gators. 3rd and 15 on Vanderbilt's 34, 4:21 left. Gators up 21-7.
This is a pivotal play here. Gators got to do something. Billy Napier's got to go up his play calling sleeve here and maybe get a little bit unconventional.
Yep, this is a big 3rd down for the Gators in hopes that they could extend their lead as Mertz takes the snap, finds Borningham over the middle. It's been his target. He goes, keeps chugging his way down to the 14.
The freshman, the mighty freshman here, Mr. Arliss Borningham, has been having one heck of a night, able to pick up a pivotal 1st down for the Florida Gators.
Leads the Gators this game in receiving yards as this snap is to Mertz, and he hands it off to Johnson, who takes it for 5 yards. But all we know is that if you need a snowplow anytime, Arliss Borningham might be the guy.
You know, all that snow that I get up at home in Wisconsin there, you know, I might be calling him up during the offseason saying, hey, come help us plow up there, because he just turned into a human snowplow there, grabbing a crucial 1st down for the Florida.
Yep, 2nd and 5 for the Gators inside the 10. Johnson to the left of Mertz. Mertz pops it to Wilson. He has blockers around the edge. Touchdown, Gators! Eugene Wilson. Another end around for the Gators from 9 yards, and they get the score.
The crowd is absolutely electric. The Gators now up 3 scores against the Vanderbilt Commodores. This is huge for their momentum, and it looks like the offensive unit is starting to finally figure it out today. Like he said, great end around there by Eugene Wilson, coming away with the score there, giving the Vanderbilt Commodores quite the deficit they're going to have to work with here.
And now go for a passing touchdown, since Mertz popped it to Wilson there, as the extra point's on its way, and it is good. The Gators go up 28-7 and get the big touchdown to put it to a 3-possession game. And the Gators are rolling along in this 3rd quarter with 3:16 left, 28-7. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network. We'll be back for more coverage from Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Back at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, the Gators just took a 28-7 lead with 3:16 left in the 3rd quarter. A 14-play, 91-yard drive, and the two biggest plays on that drive, a 3rd and 15 conversion from Mertz to Boardingham, which went for 20 yards, and then the 9-yard touchdown pitch to Eugene Wilson. And the Gators roaming along up 28-7 after a 6-minute drive of 14 plays.
Yeah, Gators are looking good. They're firing on all cylinders now. Let's see if the defense can keep it up here and then make a critical stop.
Smack takes the kickoff, will launch it towards the end zone. It will be a touchback. And Vanderbilt will start at their own 25. So Graham Mertz today, his second touchdown of the game, 25 for 31 with 224 yards. But as we said before, some of the long passes that he's missed, certainly there's a lot more to desire from there.
Right, and I mean, you know, he's managing the game. He's doing well. His stats up on paper look really, really good. But I mean, if you dig down to the nitty-gritties, there are some pivotal passes that he just was unable to capitalize on.
Gators crowd still loud in this third quarter. 1st and 10 for the Commodores. Two receivers to Seals' right. Going in motion is Sherrill. It's over the middle, caught by Sherrill, number 85. It's tackled immediately by Kimber. It's a first down of 12 yards.
Again, that come around that slant pass down into the middle there. That was lapse of coverage by the Gators. Let's see if they can learn from that here. Make another stop.
1st and 10 at the 37 for the Commodores as they hope to really cut into this deficit. Down by 21. They got to make up some time here. With 2:35 left, Gators crowd still roaming along. Sherrill in motion, going to his right and pitching it out there. Tackled by Shamar James. It's a pickup of, it looks like 6 by Alexander.
You know, the Vanderbilt offense is making some moves here. 2nd and 5 on the 42, 28-7 score. Austin Armstrong standing out on the field, trying to communicate to his defense to see what the best coverage is here as Seals goes into the shotgun.
Yep, Seals in the shotgun. Behind him is Alexander. Shepard to the right side, the only receiver on that end. Two receivers to the left side of Seals. He takes the snap. Will hand it off to Alexander, who breaks to the right side, will cut up field and go down to the Florida 48. It's a first down after a pickup of 10 yards.
The Vanderbilt Commodores are able to find some gaps in this Florida defense, continuing this drive and pushing it down. Trying to run the ball a little more, it seems like. Been a little bit of unconventional. You know, usually they air out the ball, but now they seem to be putting the ball on the ground more here in this drive.
It's the biggest rush for Alexander today, who only came in so far with 8 attempts for 21 yards. And that is his longest run of the day. And a wide open downfield Commodore, number 15, Richie Hoskins. That's the first time we've called his name today. So he gets on the score sheet for the Commodores after a big pickup of, and they go fast there as Seals tried to throw it out there. Well, he couldn't get it complete. That was a 27-yard completion over the middle from Seals to Hoskins. But this incompletion towards the left sideline brings up a 2nd and 10 with 49 seconds left in the third quarter.
They were looking to move the tempo, looking to get the Gators defense off charge and on their heels. Now they have a chance, the clock is stopped, 49 seconds left, and they're going to see if they can score here before the time in the quarter runs out.
Seals on the right hash. Going into the backfield is Gillespie. As Seals drops back, fires it to Hoskins for the touchdown. So the Commodores needed an answer, and they respond in a big way. 2 big catches by Hoskins, and he gets the touchdown from 21 yards out.
You know, that was the exact same play they ran on that major gain there for Hoskins. You know, he made that pivotal catch and made it down the field quite a long ways. That was the exact same play that they ran, and he was able to find the orange at the end of the field to get himself 6 points on the board for his team.
So the Commodores cutting into the deficit as they really needed that touchdown. Caps off a 6-play, 75-yard drive. Only took 2.5 minutes, and the extra point is good. And so it's now a 14-point game. The Gators still up 28-14, but Vanderbilt showing some hope in this game still.
Yeah, you know, the Gators took off a lot of time in this quarter, but it shows that Vanderbilt's still holding on. I mean, 2 scores, anything can happen in the next 15 minutes and 44 seconds left of the game. You know, Vanderbilt isn't giving up quite that easily, so we'll see if the Gators here can come away and score on this offensive drive, or if they don't, you know, it's going to be a game.
And so far in this game, after that 75-yard drive, the Commodores have now elapsed over 300 yards for the game, currently at 324 yards, 259 of those in the air.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's been doing a great job at airing out the ball. Only 60 total rush yards compared to 259 pass yards for a total of 318 yards on offense.
Now Vanderbilt will kick off after the touchdown. This ball is booted short. It'll be taken by Johnson, who will take it out towards the middle. He's got some speed up the middle, but he'll be tackled. That's actually Andy Jean who got the ball, but he'll be tackled at the 24-yard line.
Yeah, a little bit of hands being thrown, getting a little scrappy here. Tempers are flaring as we're nearing the 4th quarter here. It's going to be Florida ball, 28-14 your score on the 24-yard line with 36 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Play clock at 30 as Mertz and company come in and try to make something happen here in this drive.
Mertz with 224 yards in this game would hope to really keep his solid game going despite some of the troubles he's had downfield. The Gators hoping to extend their lead after the touchdown by Vanderbilt. As he takes the snap and it's handed off, up the middle goes Trayon Webb. It's a 1st down run, and the Gators will get a new set of downs after the 10-yard rush by Webb. And the Gators still moving a bit quickly, as this might be the last play of the quarter, as Webb goes to the left side. He bounces out, still going, 30, 25, and he's tackled down out of bounds for a big gain for the Gators. Oh, go for around 40 yards, 40-yard pickup for Webb as the Gators keep moving the ball, and that will end the 3rd quarter.
You know, that's great momentum going into the 4th and final quarter of the game. Great pickup there on offense by the Florida Gators on the ground. It's going to be 28-14 your score as we go into the break. We're going to take a quick ad break as the crowd is singing Ode to Florida. Don't go anywhere. This is the Gator Student Orange and Blue Broadcast Network.
And we're back at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Gators up 28-14 as the crowd getting electric for this Tom Petty tribute. It's been going on ever since his passing.
Yeah.
A big Gainesville guy, grew up in the town and has been a big part of, this entire city.
Right, it's a big tradition here, That's something I didn't realize coming down to Florida. Gators love their Tom Petty. I mean, I'm a Tom Petty enjoyer too, so fit right in. Saw Bruce Petty actually the other day, and greatest compliment I've ever gotten in my entire life. He looks me up and down and says, "You kind of look like Bruno Mars." So I'll take it. But
Yep. Well, the Gators have a 1st and 10 at the Commodores 22 after 2 really big runs by Trayon Webb. The second one coming for 43 yards. Hansen goes in motion to the left side. Mertz bounces out, and he finds Webb, who will only pick up 2 yards. They've run that same play a few times so far in this game where you have either the tight end or the running back running out to the right side. It's done damage so far for the Gators, but that time the Commodores picked it up.
Right. 2nd and 8 on the Vanderbilt 20, 14:36 and counting. They're approaching the red zone here. Let's see if the Gators can do something here.
The Gators still up by 14, would hope to put into that deficit more, respond after the Vanderbilt touchdown as Mertz takes the snap, dumps it off to Webb, who's tackled immediately.
Again, and those are the plays. You can't be playing the same thing over and over again.
It was Rinaldi who made the tackle, so the Gators will face another 3rd down, 3rd and 6 from the Vanderbilt 18. They're 5 for 9 in this game, the Gators, on 3rd downs.
3rd and mid on the 18. Mertz in the shotgun, 1 on each side.
Yep, Gene on the left side, Pearsall to the right as some other guys go in motion, 2 tight ends to that right side. And a screen to Pearsall, and a missed block, and he will go upfield. It's a flag thrown, likely for a block in the back against Boardingham. It'll come back. They say 1st down, the crowd is screaming, but that play might be coming back unless they wave the flag off.
May have been a little bit premature. Yeah, a little bit of a premature 1st down call by the PA and by everybody in the stands. The fans not happy about that, feeling as if they've been robbed here. It's going to be 3rd and long.
3rd and long now. That's a 10-yard penalty. So far today, they haven't committed as much penalties, but each penalty they have committed seems like it has hurt them in some way besides the second drive when they committed 2 penalties against when Vanderbilt was driving, but they were able to hold them. This is now a 3rd and 16 as Mertz takes the snap, and it's a false start, another penalty by the Gators.
And that's going to be another pivotal mistake. It's going to be 7 penalties now. It's going to be 7 penties now for 65
Now go
yards.
against the center, Jake Slaughter, who is flagged for an illegal snap. So we heard news before that Kingsley Aguakin wasn't going to be available for this game. We of course also had the left tackle Austin Barber out for this game. And so far the O-line has had their ups and downs today. They've done well for the running game, at least in this game, but still have committed some rather silly penalties so far.
3rd and very long for the Gators. Let's see if Mertz can come away and help out with this one.
And now pitch to Wilson, who spins out of a tackle. Only will take it to the 24. Not enough for the 1st down, but brings back some extra yardage. And Trace Mack will come on for his 1st field goal attempt of the game.
Looking to put 3 points on the board. 4th and 10. The smart call to bring on the field goal unit. Smack looking to smack one in between the uprights. This is going to be a 40-yard field goal attempt. Takes 2 steps to the left.
Yep. 4th and 10. Smack from around 40 yards out on the right hash. The kick, and he hits it right through. The Gators go up 31-14 here in the fourth quarter with 12-12 left to go in the game. We'll take a quick break. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM. We're back in the swamp. The Gators up 31-14 after a 40-yard field goal by Trace Mack. That drive took 7 plays, 54 yards, just under 3.5 minutes. And the Gators up 3 possessions, now 17 points. Some action in other games. UCLA has pulled the upset off against number 13 ranked Washington State. North Carolina, who had a big lead at the time when we talked about them, win 40-7. Other games going on around the nation. But with 12-12 left in the game for Florida Vanderbilt, the Gators hoping to move to 4-2 on the year as Smack hits this ball towards the end zone. It's another touchback. The Gators up 17 with 12-12 left in the game. Vanderbilt once again will take over at their own 25.
Now let's see if the defense can make a stop here. You know, the Vanderbilt offense has been doing a good job at finding the weak points in this Gators defense. You know, 318 total yards. That is still breaking their average. It's a little high on the season, so it's up for the Gators to make a stop here.
Up, and Seals has Shepard to his left side, the lone receiver to the left. McGowan goes in motion, so fake handoff to him. Seals rolls left, has a dump off to the right side, and he finds his tight end. Number 18, Logan Kyle. So we've seen already today that Vanderbilt have used many receivers in this game. That's now their 8th receiver that's been used in this game. So It does show the amount of quality that they do have in their passing game.
Right, they do have a solid receiving core. 2nd and 2 on the 33 here. 31-14 your score. Gators still up ahead, but I mean, there's still some opportunity here for Vanderbilt to do something.
Yeah, and safety Jordan Costello there has to be helped off the field, it looks like. As we saw him earlier in the game, nursing part of his leg a bit, and now he has to come out. So you hope it wasn't anything
related to that.
But Vanderbilt will get a 2nd and 2 from their 33 with Seals. 5 wide out set for Vanderbilt. Seals throws it over the middle. It is caught. Pressure was brought on the right side by Uman Mielen, who has pressed quite a bit today. Hasn't gotten a sack, but has put enough pressure on this Vanderbilt offensive line.
326 for total yards of Vanderbilt. Only 59 of those are coming on the ground. The rest are going to be in the air, showing the absolute air dominance that this Vanderbilt squad has. Seals 16 for 30 with 267 total yards and 2 touchdowns today.
Yep, and Seals, once again, 2 receivers to each side. Coming from the edge was Uman Mielen, and the whistle was blown as it was number 34 for the Gators. Manny Noonery getting the tackle on Alexander.
Sun's going down here in Gainesville as there's only 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The stands are starting to trickle out, starting to get a little quieter here in Ben Hill Griffin. Smack goes into the shotgun.
2 receivers to the left, Shepard to the far side. 1 safety back for the Gators. The Seals takes the snap, hands it off. Big hole up the middle for Alexander, but he only is able to pick up 3 yards.
3rd and 4, excuse me, on the 45 is going to be a big stop for the Gators. Big pivotal play here for the Commodores. Let's see what they're going to do here.
Yeah, Commodores with around 10 minutes left really need a score in order to keep this game going. The Gators up 17.
Yeah, I think they're going to air the ball out.
Yep, but 3rd and 4. 1 safety back for the Gators again. 3 receivers now as 1 goes in motion to the right side. Takes the snap, Seals, great block over the edge, and this is incomplete. 2 Gators defenders in the area.
Great stop there by the Florida defense. Intended for number 15. Richie Hoskins for the Commodores squad. Unable to capitalize. He's a little slow to get up.
Yeah, Hoskins, the one who scored the touchdown, Vanderbilt's last drive, as they'll now go for it on their own 45. 2 receivers lined up to each side. Alexander in the backfield to the right of Seals. McGowan goes in motion. 5-man pressure by Gators, and they finally get a sack on Seals.
Huge sack there by the Florida Gators. Number 15 in the defense for the Florida Gators making the sack there.
It's Derek Wingo who was in the area for the sack, so the Gators finally able to chomp down and get a sack against the Vanderbilt Commodores. They're now winning by 17 still. They'll have the ball at Vanderbilt's 36. When we come back, you've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ.
agree.
Up back at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, the Gators have a commanding 31-14 lead over the Vanderbilt Commodores. Vanderbilt was driving in the recent drive, but the Gators picked up a huge fourth down stop. Their third one of the game, in fact. And now they have the ball in fantastic field position at Vanderbilt's 36, hoping to put this game away for good. 9:23 left in the fourth. Mertz still out there. 29 for 35, 239 yards for Mertz on this day, 2 touchdowns. As he'll take the snap, he'll hand it off to Montrell Johnson, who zigzags through the middle. Will go down to the 27 for a pickup of 9.
2nd and 1 here for the Florida Gators. Great little zigzag down that large opening created by the Florida offensive line here.
And now the rushing game for the Gators has now gone over 200 yards today. A big improvement from what they had last week. Only 68 yards total for the Gators rushing game. As Mertz takes a snap again, we'll go to Johnson, who moves up the middle, spins his way, and goes down to the 11-yard line for the first down.
You know, Montrell Johnson's really been stepping up today. You know, he's looking like a Travis Etienne today. You know, he's really stepping up in that and to fill that void, to fill that hole. Really, really tremendous day for Montrell Johnson Jr. 17 carries for almost 130 yards. Actually, now at 138, he averages 8.1 a carry and had a touchdown. He's been having one heck of a day.
Yep, Mertz under center, 1 receiver to each side. He takes the snap. Another handoff to Johnson. This time he's stopped in the backfield. The tackle made by DeCosmo, by Taylor actually, the anchor of the Vanderbilt defense.
Going to be a loss of 3 for the Florida Gators as they come in on end zone territory.
Taking
Again,
a lot of time off the clock so far with 7:39 to go in the game. Up 17, 31-14 Gators as they hope to get their second SEC win of the year in the last few minutes as a fake pitch to Johnson, and Portingham over the middle gets his second touchdown of the game. To say he's been the favorite target of Mertz today is an understatement. He's been the absolute rock of this receiving corps so far, filling in for Jonathan Odom.
Yeah, you know, talk about a day and talking about punching well above his weight. Arlis Portingham is having himself one heck of a day, 2 touchdowns, 84 receiving yards, 7 completions there. He's having one heck of a day. And, you know, I think after this, he's proved that he can maybe get a starting spot here on the Florida Gators roster.
He's still very young, and the Gators will really be glad to have him for the next few years. As Smack is on for the extra point. He kicks it through the uprights, and the Gators now running away with it, up 38-14. Now the Gators convert on that touchdown, extend their lead to 24 after a 4-play, 36-yard drive. We'll be back for the last 7:19. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ. back live at the Swamp for the last 7:19 to go in this game. The Gators added to their score 38-14 on another touchdown by Arliss Boardingham, his second of the game. He leads the Gators today in receiving yards, and he fills in for Jonathan Odom, who is out for this game. So really big positive to see from this Gators side as they're up 24 and looking and are on the cusp of getting their second SEC win of the year.
Stadium looking a little empty. You can hear the echo of the marching band as fans are starting to clear out and head on home here tonight as the sun's setting here over north central Florida. Here's the kick from Smack.
And this one will go for another touchback. Every time he's kicked it off, it's been a touchback. Besides that one time when Vanderbilt tried to fair catch the ball at the 6, but unfortunately the other guy caught it, so it was called at the 6. But the Gators wasn't always pretty in this game, but it's still been pretty effective, a much better performance compared to what they had last week.
Right.
And they're on their way to their 4th win of the season with 7:19 left in this game. Seals still out there. Commodores trying to put more points on the board as Seals fakes the handoff, will spin to the right side, will be dragged to the far sideline. It'll pick up just 2. TJ Searcy was in the area for the tackle.
Vanderbilt in the huddle, breaking. Gonna have 3 receivers on the left, 3 to right, everybody's out.
Yep, 5 wide out set for the pass-heavy Commodores, who have done just that today, 274 yards through the air. That's been their bread and butter so far. Unfortunately, hasn't resulted in as much success as some pressure off the edge by the Gators, but he completes it just short of a first down to the left side. It's Johnson with the catch for Vanderbilt, and he'll gain 5 yards out of that for a 3rd and short coming up.
That's going to be 3rd and 2 on the 33. Let's see if they air it out again. That's been the common theme of tonight. You know, I mean,
Vanderbilt desperately need a 3rd down too. Only 1 for 9 on the day on 3rd down.
Crowd must run up some noise.
3 wide receivers to the left side, possibly on a screen, and they get the screen, but tackled immediately. A great play by the Gators defense. It's RJ Moten, who we called quite a few times today, was flagged for that controversial pass interference call, and a flag was thrown on the field as Sapp got his helmet ripped off. So we'll see what the call is there. It'll likely be a penalty on Vanderbilt.
We'll see.
As that's what it looks like. Yep, it is a hands to the face. The penalty will be declined on the 4th down.
Hayball's going to punt it away to Pearsall, waiting just above the SEC crest at the 25-yard line on the north end of the field.
Yep, 5:21 left in the 4th quarter. Gators trying to see it out for the rest of the game. Up 38-14. As Hayball on his left foot will punt it. Pearsall directing traffic, and this ball will take a weird bounce towards the sideline and will be out for at the 33. We'll take one last break as the Gators are right near the line to victory. 5:08 left in the 4th quarter. Gators up 38-14. You've been listening to the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ 95.3 FM. Back at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, the Gators right near the line of victory, up 24 with just over 5 minutes left in the game. And as we've said before, the Gators on offense have done well. Graham Mertz, 3 touchdown passes in this game. The rushing attack has done really well too, 213 yards. It wasn't always pretty, but so far they've done their job.
Yeah, offensively, totally, it's well balanced, right? And like you said, they've been doing their job. Does it look great at all times? No. Is there definitely room for improvement? Yes. Is there still a high amount of penalties that could be fixed? Yes. So that's, again, I think going into next week into preparation for the week ahead, that's what they're going to be working on.
And Mertz's day is done as Max Brown's now in the game, and pass to the right side to Frazier's. He's been on the field a few times, but that's his first reception of the game. They'll go for a first down, pickup of 10 yards. As Brown has a guy in motion, he flips it to number 88, Marcus Burke.
Great read by Marlon Sewell there on the Commodores defense, the safety. He was able to stop that right away and get prevent McAllister from getting anywhere on that play.
And now the Gators trying to wind down the clock, just over 4 minutes left. They have the ball. Seems like all the second team guys are out there, including Brown, as he flips it out to Burke again, who will break one tackle and go up to midfield. A gain of 5.
All these second teams guys getting some playing time in, getting some snaps in. It's good to see that. Good to see some of the young blood get out and run around there. Max Burke making a few completions here. It'll be awesome to see these guys score. I think that put a lot of confidence in, the secondaries moving forward.
3rd and 7 at the 50 for the Gators. Brown in the backfield with, looks like number 28, Eddie Battle at running back. But Vanderbilt calls a timeout with 3:19 left.
The lights are coming on in the city of Gainesville. The cell phone towers off in the distance are blinking. I can see the orange starting to dawn up on Century Tower as the sun goes down here and sets on a beautiful day of football here in Gainesville, Florida. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Actually, never mind. We're not going to take a quick break. I was wrong. We're going right back into gameplay here. My bad. As the Gators go back on the field here with the whole secondary squad out. Vanderbilt coming on, probably talking about their defensive strategy here. As it looks like Brown's going to be in the shotgun. He's going to have 2 to his left, 1 to his right. 38-14, 3:19 left on the clock. In motion is 6. Looks around. O-line coming in, collapsing in. Max Brown scrambling, looking for a run. He's going to get past just by the 50, and a flag's going to be thrown.
3 flags came in on that play. Seems like it could be called for face masking given the amount of flags thrown.
We'll see. We'll see for sure as the clock starts. Yep, that's going to be a face mask on the defense there, Matt. You were correct. It's going to result in the first down for the Florida Gators as the Gators are dawning on 500 total yards here. As that was a blatant face mask on the Commodores defense by number 94, Bradley Mann, the D lineman. And that's going to be 1st and 10 on the 35 for the Florida Gators. 3:07 ticking down, 38-14 your score. As Brown's in the shotgun, he's got 2 to his left, 1 to his right. A receiver in motion, off to the right. Here's the snap. That's outside, number 28 for the Florida Gators.
That's Battle, who got the rushing attempt for the Gators. Wasn't on the depth chart, but he has played a few games this season. He did play against McNeese, so
he is making some stats, getting some playing time in. Another young one. Second and 11 Gators. We got 3 outside to the right in the triangle formation, 3 receivers, 1 in the backfield. We got Low on the left in motion, collapsing in on the left side. Running back behind Brown as Brown's in the shotgun. He takes the snap. Off to Battle. Battle picks up a few yards. He's going to pick up about 2 to 3. And that's going to, we're just going to eclipse 2 minutes here as the clock's ticking down.
Yeah, the Gators continuing to really keep the time on their side, drain the clock down as they're on their way to a 38-14 victory if all things stand.
Fans are leaving. We got 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Again in the shotgun, Battle to his left side. Vanderbilt defense playing 5 across the top. And that's going to be a false start on the Florida Gators. 3rd and 8 is now going to turn into probably about 3rd and 12. Legal snap. Excuse me. 1:25 left on the clock, 38-14. And this is just about going to wrap up the game.
Yeah, it's the second false snap already by the Gators today, so.
Again, more of those penalties.
It's usually a penalty, too, that you don't see too often.
Right,
the
right.
Gators have had 2 of those today.
2 of them. 8 for 70 on penalties. As we go back into live and gameplay, 3rd and 13 on 38 of the Vanderbilt Commodores. 1:12 left on the clock and kicking. As Brown is in shotgun, Battle to his right. 3 to the left in the triangle formation on the outside. As Battle looks around, as Wall collapses in, makes a pass down the middle. And that's going to be a completion to Beerto. As
Vanderbilt player down on the field with around 47 seconds left. The Gators have a 4th down, probably will go for it unless they choose to kick the field goal, but.
Yep, 4th and 3rd on the 28. 47 seconds left on the clock. That about wraps up the game as Ben Hill Griffin Stadium is just about empty. Everybody electing to go home as the Gators have kind of pulled away in this 4th quarter here.
Yeah, the 2nd and 4th quarters have really been the difference for the Gators. Vanderbilt did not score in either the 2nd or 4th quarter, and the Gators in both of those quarters have outscored the Commodores 24-0. They each scored touchdowns in the 1st and 3rd, but the Gators in those 2 quarters, 2nd and 4th, have really expanded the game.
They have indeed, as the clock gets reset down to 37 seconds. Fans are leaving. We're getting the final goodbye cheers.
And that'll be the game.
That wraps up the game. Your final box score, 38-14 on this beautiful homecoming game. The Florida Gators come away on top in a must-need win in dramatic fashion against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Teams are coming out, shaking hands. It was a great day of Saturday football here as it's starting to cool down here. The sun's setting. Albert and Alberta are down on the north end zone dancing and having a good time as it was a great game for Florida football, great day for Florida football. We're going to take a quick ad break before we go into the post-game recap here on the Orange and Blue Student Broadcast Network. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for tuning in on GHQ 95.3. Again, your final score, Florida Gators on top with 38 points to the Vanderbilt Commodores 14. All
Yep.
right.
And welcome back to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. The Florida Gators with a 38-14 win over the Vanderbilt Commodores on this great homecoming weekend for Florida. The 99th homecoming game in Florida's history, the 71st win for the Gators today. And it wasn't always pretty, as we said many times in the broadcast, but the Gators got the job done, and they really proved it throughout the game.
Well, I think the most important thing is that they needed a decisive victory today, and they did. And a victory by reasonable margin. I mean, over 3 scores here ahead of the Vanderbilt Commodores. And again, like we've said and like we talked about, it wasn't pretty. And I mean, you know, coming down some of the games, looking ahead in the schedule, this type of sloppy gameplay will not work. But I mean, the Gators have a little bit of time before their next opponent to really lock in, really prepare, really get all of the nuts and bolts tightened so that they can come away with a victory in the games coming down the home stretch here.
Yeah, indeed. And, of course, as you mentioned, the Gators, you know, offense was a big part today. Graham Mertz, you know, we talked a lot about him in the broadcast. How would you sort of reflect on his performance? Because he was efficient, but there were some times in which we both thought that he could have done better.
Right. I mean, looking at his stats, 30 for 36, 254 total yards, 3 touchdowns, with a rating of 170.1. I mean, that looks really gosh darn good on paper. I mean, I think he had a pretty solid day, you know, and like that's the thing. He managed the game. He looked good. And, you know, I think it is safe to say that, you know, we may have been a little harsh. There could have been a few times, you know, we were a little harsh on the kid. But, I mean, here's the thing. You know, he probably should have been 33 for 36 and maybe at 300 yards and maybe even 4 touchdowns at that. Because, I mean, he had the wide open shot to Pearsall. Pearsall probably would have taken it 50 yards to the house. There was another with Johnson where, you know, he was unable to capitalize on that. That was right down the middle. And so there was a few passes during this game, actually a few pivotal passes where if Graham would have made those completions, I mean, we would have been probably in the 40s, maybe even 50s for points there. I mean,
yeah, and he also had one to Khalil Jackson to the left end zone, which he had Jackson wide open, and that was a roughing the passer penalty, but that's the one where he could have put on target and Jackson had no one near him. But a big part of today was the running game. Last week they only had 68 yards. They didn't really do well on the ground. They didn't have Trevor Etienne today. He was out with an undisclosed injury. But Montrell Johnson really picked up the load for this offense.
Yeah, Montrell Johnson looked really, really solid today. I mean, 18 carries, 135 yards. He's picked himself up to a touchdown, a long carry of 34. And, I mean, he averaged 7.5 yards a carry. I think he had a pretty solid day. I mean, you look at Pearsall's stats, too. He's got 34 yards receiving. But he's got a touchdown through rushing as well. But, I mean, let's talk about Wilson and Boardingham today. You know, the two that were coming in as fill-ins for, you know, the older Gator squad, you know, our banged-up Gator offense. And they played some solid football today.
Yeah, and Wilson has been used a lot so far for the Gators this season, has had his fair share of injuries. But we all know how electric he is, and he really showed it today with that pitch touchdown that he had for Mertz's second passing touchdown of the game. But Boardingham is a guy that came in to replace Jonathan Odom. And, you know, sometimes it makes you think, why haven't the Gators used the tight end more this season? Because look how effective it was today. Boardingham, 99 yards receiving 2 touchdowns.
Right.
And that bootleg really took Vanderbilt's defense and stretched it out, which made it very effective for the Gators on the night.
You know, I think it was really good to see that there's a lot more depth in this Gators offense than we really thought there to be earlier. So, I mean, yeah, we've talked a lot about offense. Why don't we go on to the defensive side of the ball, Matt? What are your key takeaways from the defensive side?
Yeah, the defense, I thought overall they played a pretty decent game. Of course, Vanderbilt's not the best team in the running game. They limited them really well, only 58 yards on 19 carries. The one thing they really have to improve on, though, is to limit some of the big plays. The first touchdown Vanderbilt had to Shepard, that cannot happen. You had Jason Marshall on Shepard, Marshall messed up there, but you had no safety over the top to cover for him, which is why Shepard had all that space to score that touchdown. And you also had one later in the game, even though the Gators were able to stop the 4th and goal, the play leading up to that was a big gain by Vanderbilt to, I believe it was Sherrill on that play, and that was also a 54-yard pass, which those ones you got to limit. You can't have a lot of big gains today, and we know that Vanderbilt's a very pass-happy team. They passed for over 276 yards today. But against other teams, especially when you face South Carolina next week against Spencer Rattler, you want to limit those big plays.
Right. I mean, and that's what a team like South Carolina capitalizes on, is those big plays. That's what they're known for. That's how they're able to, stay in with the big dogs and punch well above their weight. And, looking at it, like the Gators defense, they have a lot to work on. They're able to contain the run game as, is to be expected here. But, they got to eliminate some of those big-time plays that continuously happen. And, I mean, that's been the story of the Gators' defense. I mean, look at Tennessee. Look at Kentucky. There's a lot of big plays that the Gators' defense is just simply buffing on. And so that is something that moving forward, I think Austin Armstrong needs to work on. Those backs really need to do a better job at preventing, those big-time plays from happening.
Yeah, and so the Gators win 38-14 today. Next week they have a road match against South Carolina. We've noticed how poor they've been on the road, only 1-7 in the Napier era on the road. What are the keys to really doing well on the road, especially when they haven't been good?
Right. Well, I mean, last year, South Carolina was here in the Swamp, and it was a blowout. 45-6, I believe, was the final box score. And then after that, South Carolina went on a run and ended up becoming a ranked team by the end of the season. And so I think the biggest thing is Spencer Rattler is going to be on or he's going to be off. If he's going to be on, he's going to be making big plays, and it's going to be up to the Gators' defense to make big stops and prevent Spencer Rattler from airing out the ball. If you're forced to put Spencer Rattler in a position where he has to give the ball off to his running backs and keep it on the ground, that's going to be playing right into the Gators' favor, which, for the most part, for the exception of Kentucky and Ray Davis, right, they are able to contain the run game. Offensively speaking, again, the Gators had a pretty good offensive game today. They've been known for not finishing out games, so they got to keep up that tempo. They got to keep up that pace. They got to stay innovative. We saw a little bit of more gutsy play calling out of Napier. Would have liked to see more, but against the South Carolina defense, we're going to have to see that. Moving forward as a team overall, we need to play less sloppy. We've been playing very dirty. We've been playing not unclean football, what I'd like to say. A lot of penalty yards. I mean, we had 7 or 8 penalties today for a total of over 70 yards. That just can't happen. That just cannot happen in SEC ball. If you're expecting that to happen in SEC ball, don't expect to go anywhere in the SEC.
Yeah, and so the Gators move to 4-2 on the year, 2-1 in conference. Vanderbilt drops to 2-5 on the year, still looking for their first conference win. Gators will be back next Saturday on the road in Columbia against South Carolina. It's been a pleasure being here with you. Before we sign off, we'd like to offer apologies for some of the ad breaks that happened today. Unfortunately, since we have a soundboard, we tried to connect the commercials and advertisements with it. Unfortunately, it didn't connect with it, and we'll try to see what happened within the coming days. But we're glad for those that joined with us. I'm Matt Rothmann alongside Gabe Vargas, and we'll see you next time on the Orange and Blue Sports Network on GHQ. Thank you, everyone.